So, namaste and good evening, everyone. My name is Neha Abraham, and I work with the SEWA Cooperative Federation. We are a state-level cooperative federation with 112 member cooperatives in Gujarat. We work nationally and internationally to incubate, promote, and strengthen these cooperatives and collective enterprises. And we are delighted to have you for this webinar. I will now invite Mira, all of the participants. So there seems to be a bit of a technical glitch. Uh, I would now invite our new managing director, Jikisha Ben Maheta, to welcome all of the participants.
Hello, namaste everyone. Good evening. I am Jigisha Mehta, newly managing director of SEWA Cooperative Federation, and it's been 2 months here since I joined, and yeah, I'm thrilled to be part of this esteemed organization with over 12 years of experience into the development sector. I have had the privilege of working across various parts of the country, and my journey has taken me to the grassroots where I have witnessed first-hand challenges of women and children uh, across India. I have also had the opportunity to contribute to the relief operation during multiple disaster into the country. Uh, I would like to welcome all the panelists here and all our participants who are listening to the webinar called Unpacking the Role of Federation in Supporting Women's Collective on behalf of SEWA Federation, SEWA Cooperative Federation. I would also like to welcome all our participants from the globe, and your questions and engagement will be valuable in making this conversation impactful. So welcome you on board. Looking forward to the delighted conversation ahead. Over to you, Neha. Thank you.
So now that the technical glitch is fixed, Neha Ben, I would like to add my very warm welcome. सभी को बहुत स्वागत है इस webinar में. Jigisha Ben ने तो कह दिया है, Jigisha Ben has spoken, but I'd like to add a very warm welcome as we begin the National Cooperative Week. As you know, the Self-Employed Women's Association has been organizing informal women workers into unions and cooperatives for over 52 years now. The SEWA Cooperative Federation is an important part of the SEWA movement. And as you have heard from Neha Ben, we are responsible for incubating, supporting, strengthening cooperatives and collectives. I would like to especially acknowledge the many partners who have been on this journey with us. And in particular today, the International Labour Organization, who has supported the study and the report. And in particular, Dr. Simel Eshem, who's the Director of Cooperatives in Geneva, our Delhi Director, Michiko-san, Parthiben Birla, who I see here, who's a longtime friend and supporter of SEWA, Kelvin Sargent, another longtime friend and supporter who is now in the Bangkok office of ILO, and the entire ILO team. So without much ado, let's get started, because I see my sisters there, Ansabin and our sister from Gumla, which I have the privilege of visiting with Pradhan team. So over to you, Neha-ben.
Thank you, Mirai-ben. So I'll begin with a little bit of context and also walk everyone through the flow for today's webinar. Taking off from where Mirai-ben left, like collectives, cooperatives, and social solidarity institutions have been vehicles for informal women workers to access economic opportunities and social security. They also empower informal women workers by enhancing their bargaining power, offering representation, fostering solidarity, collective voice and identity, and helping them transition out of informal employment. As Mirai-ben mentioned, SEWA has been organizing informal women workers into cooperatives for the last 52 years. And with the support from the ILO, we recently conducted a study on the support systems needed to strengthen such collective enterprises. It was highlighted that federations play a vital role in helping member cooperatives to access policy forums, establish sustainable businesses, and also gain visibility for women's work. They also support innovative, locally needed businesses such as childcare centers for informal workers, for instance. However, they also face many challenges. And in today's webinar, we are hoping to unpack some of these lessons. So in our first panel, we will hear from representatives of 3 women-owned and managed collective enterprises, and they will share insights from their entrepreneurial journeys. Next, we will have a presentation from our research team on key findings of the study, which I just mentioned. And after which we have a second panel with practitioners who have been working with and generating evidence on collective enterprises in the South. Services needed for these enterprises to become financially viable and sustainable, and what it takes for these support systems to scale contextually. So with that context, let me invite Ms. Bharti Birla, who is our moderator for panel 1. Ms. Birla is an enterprise development specialist at the ILO and provides technical and advisory services to 7 South Asian countries on sustainable enterprises, productivity, and just transition. Her work areas include MSMEs, social finance and cooperative, social and solidarity economy. I'd also like to introduce our 3 panelists. From Jharkhand, we have Ms. Charya Orao, who is a board member of the Gumla Mahila Kisan Swavlamban Trust, a food producer organization founded in 2017, supported by Pradhan and also the Jharkhand State Livelihoods Promotion Society. She's a bookkeeper in the Mahila Vikas Mandal Cluster Level Federation. And this CLF has recently been registered as a cooperative to promote women's economic collectives. Our second panelist is Ms. Hansa-ben Patni, and she is a childcare and creche worker at the Sangini Childcare Center and a former board member of the Sangini Childcare Cooperative. She has been a shareholder and has worked with the cooperative for the last 25 years. And this childcare cooperative has been providing services since 1986. And they offer services for infants and young children aged up to 6 years, particularly in low-income settlements that are populated by informal women workers. And Ms. Swati Kumari, who is our third panelist, is the general manager at the Bihar Credit Cooperative. She has been working with this cooperative for the last 12 years, where she handles operations, compliance, and stakeholder management. And the Bihar Credit Cooperative was actually started in 2013 as a state-level cooperative to provide adequate credit and savings facilities to informal women workers, including SHG members. So our panelists will be speaking in Hindi and Gujarati, and our colleagues Shubhmay Ben and Jigisha Ben will also help with translations. So over to you now, Bharti ji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neha, and it was good to also hear from Jignisha Bhen and also Mirai ji about this great initiative, and we're bringing the women from the ground who have set up these cooperatives, who have done it themselves, and in doing so, what challenges they faced, what difficulties they faced, and how did they actually manage to be there, not just for themselves but for all the women who have been part of this cooperative movement. So as Neha mentioned, we have three panelists here with a wealth of experience and richness on the work that they have done. And सबसे पहले I would like मैं सबसे पहले आप सबसे 3 क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहती हूँ जो उन तीनों क्वेश्चन के जवाब से हमको बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा। तो सबसे पहले मैं चाहती हूँ कि चेरियन ओरियन जी जो गुमला में महिला किसान स्वावलंबन ट्रस्ट में जो एक फूड प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है और प्रदान के सपोर्ट से झारखंड स्टेट रूरल लाइवलीहुड मिशन के साथ उन्होंने काम करा और वहाँ पे वो बुक कीपर भी थी महिला विकास मंडल क्लस्टर लेवल पे। उनसे जानना चाहती हूँ कि आप अपने कुछ कोऑपरेटिव और कलेक्टिव के बारे में बताइए और आपको क्या क्या चैलेंजेस आए, क्या क्या मुश्किलें आई जब आप अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ा रही थी, आप अपने काम को बढ़ा रही थी। For the speakers who understand English language, I'm asking the cooperative, Ms. Cherian Orian, who actually is a board member of the Gumla Mahila Kisan Swalamban Trust, which is a food producer organization founded in 2017. And my question to her and to all the other panelists would also be to first, let them talk about their cooperatives, their collectives, and what challenges they faced in growing their business. तो सबसे पहले मैं चाहती हूँ आप अपने गुमला में जो आपने काम करा उसके बारे में, प्रदान के साथ, स्टेट लाइवलीहुड मिशन के साथ, उसके बारे में कुछ कहें और क्या क्या आपको चैलेंजेस आए, दिक्कतें आई, उसके बारे में हम सबको बताएं।
नमस्ते सबों को, आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
आ रही है, बिल्कुल बोलिए।
तो मैं चरिया उरांव, गुमला महिला किसान स्वावलंबन ट्रस्ट गुमला की बोर्ड सदस्य हूँ और मेरा ट्रस्ट 6 जून 2020 में गठन हुई है, जिसमें हम लोग 3000 महिला किसान जुड़ करके काम कर रही हैं। तो इसमें जैसे हम लोग पहले से संस्था था, लेकिन संस्था को चलाते हुए देखते हैं तो और मजबूत बनाने के लिए कुछ कोऑपरेटिव चलाना पड़ता है। तो शुरुआत तो संगठन रहा, लेकिन संगठन से आज हम लोग एक ट्रस्ट भी खड़ा किए हैं जो हमारा महिला किसान स्वावलंबन ट्रस्ट गुमला के नाम से जाना जाता है, जिसमें हम लोग का सोच रहा कि गांव में, ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में खाद से बीज बाजार व्यवस्था तक गांव में पहुंचाने का सोच रहा। इसी उद्देश्य के साथ में हम लोग ट्रस्ट खड़ा किए हैं। और विशेष तौर से देखा जाए तो आज के दिन में पुरुष को किसान का नाम से जाना जाता है, तो हम लोग का सोच रहा है कि हम महिला को किसान का नाम से पहचान करेंगे। यही सोच के साथ में हम लोग ये ट्रस्ट खड़ा किए हैं। तो जैसे हम लोग ट्रस्ट तो खड़ा किए, पर इसमें दिक्कतें भी आई हम लोग को। जैसे गांव लेवल में जाके शुरुआत हम लोग जब प्लान करने लगे तो किसान बोलने लगा कि नहीं, मेरे पास पूंजी नहीं है खेती करने के लिए, हम कैसे करेंगे। और बात रहा कि सामूहिक तौर में हम लोग बोले कि आप लोग को एक साथ में सामूहिक तौर से खेती करना पड़ेगा। तो लोग नहीं, हम लोग सामूहिक में कैसे करेंगे, हम लोग अपना अपना करेंगे। जैसे पुरानी रीति विधि से कर रहे थे वही तरीका से वो लोग करने के लिए हो रहे थे। तो हम लोग उन लोग को बहुत समझाए कि मतलब श्री विधि तरीका से सामूहिक खेती करने से क्या फायदा होगा, और आपको हम बाजार तक का व्यवस्था देंगे। जैसे सामूहिक तौर से अगर खेती कीजिएगा तो हम बाजार का भी व्यवस्था देंगे, मतलब आपका गांव में हम बीज से लेके बाजार तक का व्यवस्था सारा मेरा एपीओ करेगा। ये सारा चीज उन लोग को समझाया गया। फिर जब दीदी लोग को बोल रहे थे कि आपके पास एसएजी है तो एसएजी से लोन लेके कीजिए, तो उन लोग को डर था कि हम बड़े पैमाने में लोन लेंगे, चुकता करने सकेंगे नहीं सकेंगे, ये चीज का भी डर था। लेकिन हम लोग उन लोग को गांव लेवल में बहुत ट्रेनिंग कराए। ट्रेनिंग कराने के बावजूद उन लोग को जब हम लोग एक एक पौधा का मान्यता बताए, एक पौधा में कितना फल आएगा, जैसे टमाटर का हम उदाहरण दिए, तो एक पौधा का फल अगर हम 5 रुपया के दर से भी बिक्री करते हैं तो मेरा जो पूंजी लागत है वो नुकसान नहीं जाता है। उसी तरह फूल गोभी हुआ, पत्ता गोभी हुआ, वो सबका हम लोग उन लोग को गुना भाग करके बताए। और जब आप लोग बाजार में बेचने जाते हैं तो क्या दिक्कतें होती है, तब जाके वो लोग राजी हुआ। तब हम लोग उन लोग को मतलब पौधा पहुंचाना शुरू किए किसान के लिए, और एक साथ में उन लोग को खेती कराने के लिए तैयार किए। ये हम लोग का चैलेंज रहा। और अभी 3000 किसान के साथ में हम लोग एक साथ में रोपाई करवाते हैं।
शुक्रिया, शुक्रिया। आपने अपनी जर्नी के बारे में, अपने अपनी मुश्किलें जो आई और जो जो पड़ाव आए आगे
जी
बढ़ने
जी
के लिए, उसके बारे में बताया। शुक्रिया बहुत इसके लिए। अब मैं चाहती हूँ कि हंसा बहन जो हमारे साथ जुड़ी हुई हैं, जो चाइल्ड केयर और क्रच वर्कर्स हैं संगनी चाइल्ड केयर सेंटर में, और बोर्ड मेंबर भी रही हैं चाइल्ड केयर कोऑपरेटिव में, उनसे मैं जानना चाहूंगी। So I'm going to request Hansa Bhen Patni, who's a child care and crèche worker at Sangani Child Care Center, who's also a former board member of the Sangani Child Care Cooperative. She's been working on this issue for last 25 years and been providing services since 1986. So Hansa Bhen, आपके क्या challenges रहे, आपको क्या क्या मुश्किल आई, उसके बारे में आप हमें बताएं थोड़ा।
બોલું નમસ્તે, મારું નામ હંસાબેન પટની છે। હું છેલ્લા 25 વર્ષથી સંગીનીમાં બાલ સેવિકા તરીકે કામ કરું છું। પહેલા યુનિયન સેવામાં જોઈન હતી, વેચનાર એક બેન છું શાકભાજી। યુનિયન સેવામાંથી સંગીનીમાં મેં જોઈન કર્યું છે। મંડળીના અમારા સભ્ય છે 665 ને અમારું રજીસ્ટ્રેશન છે 15/6/86 માં અમારું રજીસ્ટ્રેશન થયું છે। રજીસ્ટ્રેશન નંબર છે 21115। વિસ્તારનું નામ છે અસારવા ચમનપુરા અસંજીવાની ચાલી। છેલ્લા 25 વર્ષથી ત્યાં બાલ સેવિકા તરીકે હું કામ કરું છું। અમને ચેલેન્જ તો ઘણા બધા મળ્યા છે। પેલા એરિયાની અંદર વેચનાર બહેનો છે, બહેનોની જોડે જે મોટા બાળકો હતા એના નાના બચ્ચા હતા એ કોઈ રાખનાર નહોતું, તો મોટા બાળકોનું ભણતર બગડતું, એની અંદર જે અભ્યાસ નથી કરી શકતું। જ્યારે સંગીનીની સ્થાપના થઈ તો ઘર ઘર સર્વે કર્યું। ઘર ઘર સર્વે કરીને કે તમારા નાના મોટા બાળકો છે એ ભણવા જશે ને નાના બાળકોને અમે સાચવીશું તો તમારું 2 પૈસાની રોજગારી તમને વધારે મળશે। ત્યાં સ્થાપિત કરીને અમારું સેન્ટર ચાલુ કર્યું। પણ અમારી પ્રવૃત્તિ છે એ ખર્ચનાર પ્રવૃત્તિ છે। સંગીની બાલ સેવા ખર્ચનાર પ્રવૃત્તિ ને શ્રમ વિસ્તારમાં ચાલે છે। પાછી સંગીની મંડળી પગભર કરવા માટે ઘણું બધું વિચારે છે, તેની ચર્ચા પણ કરીએ છીએ, પણ મુશ્કેલી ઘણી બધી આવે। શ્રમ વિસ્તારના હિસાબે મુશ્કેલી ઘણી બધી આવે છે। મુશ્કેલી આવે છે, ફીમાં પણ અમને મુશ્કેલી પડે છે। મુશ્કેલી પડે છે અને સ્થાનિક અમને કોઈ સેન્ટર મળે, સ્થાનિક સેન્ટર મળે તો અમને વધારે સારું। એમાં સુવિધાવાળું પણ સેન્ટર મળે તો વધારે સારું, જે મકાન મળે તો વધારે સારું સુવિધાવાળું એની અંદર. ને બીજી એક એવી ચર્ચા છે કે ચેલેન્જની અંદર તો જગ્યાનો હાવભાવ છે. સંગીની મંડળીને વધારે સારી રીતે બનાવવા માટે પ્રવૃત્તિ, અમારી ખર્ચા પ્રવૃત્તિ એક સેન્ટર ચલાવવા માટે 40,000 નો ખર્ચો થાય છે. જ્યારે એરિયામાંથી, વિસ્તારમાંથી જે રીતે બાળકો હોય એ રીતે એક સેન્ટરના અત્યારે હાલના 18,000 રૂપિયા અમે સામે ચૂકવણી કરીએ છીએ. બીજી ચૂકવણી છે તે અમારી સંગીની મંડળી અમને મદદ કરે છે. સંગીની મંડળીને મદદ કરે છે અમને આ રીતે. પણ અમારી ખર્ચા પ્રવૃત્તિ છે ને શ્રમ વિસ્તારમાં ચાલે છે.
Kriyash, thank you so much. May I request Subhamani to first translate the Hindi input that was given by our first panelist, and then I would request Jigisha to also translate for Hansabhen later, so that our English speakers can also follow what they were saying. Over to you, Subhamani.
Thank you, Bhartiben. So, Charyaben said that 3,000 women farmers are working with them as of now. And they also face some kind of challenges, like farmers were initially unwilling to sell produce collectively. And they also face some issues with access to credit, water shortages, and affordable agricultural inputs. So the solution they implemented was training was given by Pradhan, which helped the farmers understand the benefits of joining an FPO. They also gained better access to credit, aggregated produce, bypassed middlemen, and accessed markets. Another challenge they faced was excess rain led to crop damage, and FPO leadership was blamed for losses, to which FPO compensated farmers for crop losses. Despite all the challenges, the FPO still continues to move forward. So this is what Charyaben mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I request Jigisha to kindly translate for Hansabhen also the challenges she faced in the childcare cooperatives? Thank you.
Sure, Bhartiben. Thank you. So Hansaben talks about challenges. So she highlighted challenges faced by the informal workers, particularly in accessing affordable childcare services. To address this, the Sangini Childcare Center and Cooperative, catering exclusively to SEWA Union members, offers quality childcare at a nominal fee of 450 rupees per month per child. And if we talk about statistics, she says that for a capacity of 30 to 35 children in a center in the slum area, the operational cost goes around 40,000 per month. So some of the revenue generations are there and some of the support comes from the SEWA and the cooperative. Hansaben emphasized this two significant challenges which they face very much. One is affordability, which is raising fees would render the service unaffordable for women workers, while maintaining the current fee poses financial sustainability challenges. And another challenge is infrastructure. Securing affordable spaces for the crèche is difficult, and the rent increases often force relocation, which is again a challenge which impact the center's operation and reputation as well as child's education. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would now like to request our third panelist, Ms. Swati Kumari, who is the General Manager at the Bihar Credit Cooperative, and she's been working for last 12 years, where she's been handling complex operations, compliance, and this cooperative, though started much earlier in 2013, it has a huge number of members as of now, as I understand. So I request स्वाति कुमारी, मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि आप अपने जो आपका ये जर्नी रही है, जो आपके काम रहा है बिहार क्रेडिट कोऑपरेटिव के साथ, उसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए। कोऑपरेटिव क्या करता है और क्या क्या आपको दिक्कत आई, क्या मुश्किल आई इसको आज यहाँ तक लाने के लिए। तो स्वाति जी, मैं चाहूंगी कि आप अपने इसके बारे में कुछ बताएं।
Thank you. And first of all, for this opportunity, thank you so much, everyone. सबसे पहले मैं कोऑपरेटिव के बारे में बताना चाहूँगी। बिहार में पहले एसएचजी का काम चल रहा था, जिसमें सभी जो मेंबर्स हैं वो छोटे छोटे सेविंग करती थी एंड ज़रूरत पड़ने पे छोटे छोटे लोन लेती थी। पर सदस्यों की जो सुविधा के अनुसार से बड़े बचत और जो लोन की ज़रूरत थी वो पूरी नहीं हो पा रही थी, और सभी सदस्यों की इन ज़रूरत को ही पूरा करने के लिए 2012 में क्रेडिट कोऑपरेटिव का रजिस्ट्रेशन किया गया, जिसमें मेंबर्स अपने सुविधा के अनुसार से अपने स्वेच्छा से बचत करती हैं और अपने बिजनेस से रिलेटेड या फिर अपने ग्रोथ करने के लिए किसी भी काम के लिए लोन लेना चाहती हैं तो वो अपना लोन ले सकती हैं। एट प्रेजेंट कोऑपरेटिव बिहार में भी 5 जिले में काम कर रही है और 18,000 मेंबर्स के साथ काम कर रही है। अगर मैं चैलेंजेस की बात करूं तो बहुत अलग अलग चैलेंजेस रहे हैं। जो हमारे जैसे अन्य माइक्रो फाइनेंस कंपनी है वो काफ़ी आसानी से सिर्फ आधार कार्ड पर अभी मेंबर्स को लोन दे देते हैं, तो जिससे हमारी कंपटीशन काफ़ी ज़्यादा बढ़ गई है। और जो मेंबर्स है वो काफ़ी सारे माइक्रो फाइनेंस से एक साथ लोन ले लेते हैं और कोऑपरेटिव से लोन देने में फिर परेशानी होती है। एंड जो सदस्य है वो सदस्यों की जो क्रेडिट रेटिंग होती है वो हम जैसे छोटी कोऑपरेटिव क्रेडिट रेटिंग जानने के जो जानना होता है वो जानने के लिए हम जैसी छोटी कोऑपरेटिव को सिविल और हाईमार्क जैसे क्रेडिट ब्यूरो से सब्सक्रिप्शन नहीं मिलती है, जिस कारण हम लोग क्रेडिट स्कोर जांच नहीं पाते हैं और लोन जो देना होता है वो कोऑपरेटिव में थोड़ा रिस्क हो जाता है वो समझने के लिए कि उनका क्रेडिट स्कोर कैसा है, इनको लोन देंगे तो रिपेमेंट कैसे रहेंगे। तो वहाँ पे दिक्कतें हो जाती हैं और जब लोन की रिस्क में होते हैं तो ऑब्वियसली है कि कोऑपरेटिव के बिजनेस भी थोड़े रिस्क में हो जाते हैं। ये एक दिक्कतें रहे हैं, तो वहाँ पे हम लोगों को थोड़ा रिस्क कम करने के लिए हमें समझने पड़ते हैं और उसके हिसाब से हमें बिजनेस करने पड़ते हैं। दूसरी और स्किल की बात करें तो हम पहले बेसिक स्किल के साथ काम कर रहे थे और जैसे जैसे टाइम बढ़ते हैं तो हमें नए आइडियाज़ के साथ और मार्केट के अनुसार से नए टेक्निकल के साथ हमें काम करने पड़ते हैं, तो उसकी कमी रही। इसके लिए सेवा भारत से हमें काफ़ी सपोर्ट मिले। हमें कोऑपरेटिव में क्या प्रॉब्लम्स समझने के लिए हमें मेंटरशिप की सुविधा दी गई और ट्रेनिंग वगैरह भी दी गई। जैसे हमें बिजनेस प्लानिंग करनी है, बिजनेस में करने के लिए जो हमें मार्केट के अनुसार से ज़रूरत है उसको समझने के लिए लोन के प्रोसेस एंड जो भी हमारे कोऑपरेटिव में प्रोसेस हैं वो प्रोसेस को समझने के लिए जो प्रोडक्टिविटी की ज़रूरत है उसकी ट्रेनिंग की ज़रूरत रही। उसकी वजह से हमारे बिजनेस में काफ़ी कमी हो रही थी, काफ़ी दिक्कतें रही थी, तो वो सब ट्रेनिंग मिलने से काफ़ी फ़ायदा हुआ, मेंटरशिप के वजह से काफ़ी फ़ायदा हुआ एंड उससे हमारे बिजनेस में काफ़ी ग्रोथ हुए हैं एंड कोऑपरेटिव में भी काफ़ी ग्रोथ हुआ है। तो स्किल की भी काफ़ी दिक्कतें रहीं जिसको सेवा भारत की तरफ से हम काफ़ी उसको ओवरकम किया गया एंड उसके कोर्सेज से हम लोग आगे बढ़ पाए हैं। तो अलग अलग चैलेंजेस हमारे रहे हैं इस तरह से। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, Swati. Can someone translate and
Yes, sure. So thank you, Swatiben. So Swatiben is sharing that we formed cooperative to provide larger loans to SHG members beyond their savings capacity. And currently they are operating in 5 districts with 18,000 members. The challenges that were faced by the cooperative were competition from the microfinance companies who were offering easy loans with just minimum documentation like an Aadhaar card. So there were also lack of access to RBI registered credit bureau, increasing risk due to inability of check credit scores. So the solution and support as a cooperative they provided were they evolved business strategies with the help of the mentorship and training programs from Seva Bharat, designed profitable loan schemes and improved process efficiency. And the ultimate outcome was that they enhance income and livelihood for the members. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shubhamai. My next question to all the three panelists would be around, how the market environment keeps changing. We need to adapt. We need to ensure that we remain relevant as a cooperative. We keep providing the necessary services for which we are constituted, and also, how do we deal with the changing market requirements, whether it is the requirements of the customers or technologies or new competition. How do the cooperative remain relevant, and how do they look at issues of their own advantage, their competitive advantage, and their growth, and what kind of things that they did, what kind of changes that they looked at, and how did they change and adopt. So अब आपके साथ एक जो नेक्स्ट सवाल है आप तीनों पैनलिस्ट के लिए, वो ये है कि आप जो मार्केट का एनवायरनमेंट है वो बदलता रहता है, आपको समय के साथ बदलना पड़ता है, जो आपके क्लाइंट्स हैं उनकी जरूरत बदल जाती है, उनकी नीड बदल जाती है। तो आपने क्या करा इस कोऑपरेटिव में, जो मार्केट की नीड थी, जो रिक्वायरमेंट थी, उसके हिसाब से आपने अपने कोऑपरेटिव में क्या क्या चेंज लेकर आए, कैसे बदलाव किया, कैसे आगे बढ़े, उसके बारे में मैं थोड़ा जानना चाहती हूँ। और इसके लिए मैं सबसे पहले रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी चिरियन बहन जी से कि वो अपना कुछ बताएं, जो आपने कैसे अपने आप को अडॉप्ट करा इस नए एनवायरनमेंट में।
जी, तो जब हम लोग इस तरह का सामूहिक में खेती करवाना चाहे, और खेती तो दीदी लोग करना शुरू कर दी, पर हम लोग लोकल बाजार में जब बिक्री किए तो सही रेट नहीं मिला, क्योंकि लोकल बाजार में उतना ज्यादा माल कहाँ बिकेगा। तब हम लोग देखे कि दीदी लोग को तो जिस तरह का हम लोग आमदनी बढ़ाने का बात कर रहे हैं उस तरह का नहीं फायदा हो पा रहा है। तब हम लोग एपीओ वाले लोग ने बोर्ड मीटिंग किए, और बोर्ड मीटिंग करके हम लोग बाजार का जानकारी लिए। तो हम लोग 4-5 जगह मंडी का जानकारी लिए, और हर एक जगह हर सब्जी का ले करके हम लोग क्या रेट में चल रहा है वो सारा चीज का जानकारी लिए। अब जैसे पता चला कि हम लोग 4-5 मंडी में किस तरह का, जैसे कि सामान लेने जाते हैं तो कोटेशन लेते हैं, वही सिस्टम हम लोग मंडी का जानकारी लिए। फिर जब मंडी का जानकारी ले करके हम लोग किसान को फिर बात किए कि यहाँ ये बाजार में इस रेट में चल रहा है, ये बाजार में इस रेट में चल रहा है, लेकिन सब्जी को जब हम लोग तोड़ेंगे तो मतलब सब्जी का किस प्रकार होना चाहिए जो कि हम लोग अच्छा रेट पा पाएंगे। जैसे हम उदाहरण देंगे कि टमाटर, तो टमाटर को गांव वाले किसान लोग पूरा पकने देख के तोड़ता था, तो उस तरह का तोड़ाई में तो मार्केट भेजने में गिल्ला हो जाता है। तो जैसे हम लोग राउरकेला भेजते हैं, रांची भेजते हैं, बोकारो भेजते हैं, छत्तीसगढ़, तो माल तो 2-3 दिन जाने में समय लगेगा, तो गिल्ला हो जाएगा, फिर उसका रेट कम मिलेगा। तो हम लोग उसको तोड़ने के लिए भी कितना मतलब पका होना चाहिए, उसको तोड़ने से अच्छा रेट मिलेगा, ये चीज जानकारी दिए किसान को। और उसका मतलब छटाई भी करवाए साइज के ऊपर, मतलब छोटा बड़ा sorting ग्रेडिंग करवाए, ताकि सारा सामान जितना मेरे जगह माल निकलेगा वो सारा माल का पैसा हम अच्छे तरह से ले पाएंगे। ये सोच करके हम लोग मीटिंग किए, और मीटिंग के दरमियान पूरा बातचीत करके हम लोग किसान को जानकारी दिए, और उसी के अनुसार किसान को हम लोग समय समय पर सामूहिक तोड़ाई करवा करके बाजार भेजने लगे। जैसे उदाहरण देंगे कि हम क्या बोलते हैं, टमाटर, एक दीदी 3,000 पौधा लगा के 1,20,000 15,000 रुपया का इनकम कमा रही है। जो दीदी 2,000 पौधा लगा रही है वो 70 से 75,000 रुपया की इनकम कमा रही है। तो इस तरह का दीदी लोग ने कमाई किया तो उन लोगों को भी लगा कि हाँ, सामूहिक तौर से खेती करने में क्या फायदा हुआ, और अपने आप में उन लोग को लगता है कि हम भी अब सशक्त हो रहे हैं, हम खुद में इस तरह का कर पा रहे हैं तो हम आगे भी कुछ और कर पाएंगे। जैसे उदाहरण देंगे, हमारे जगह आम का सीजन में देखा जाए तो 1 एकड़ में आम बागान लगा हुआ है तो 1 लाख से 1.5 लाख रुपया का इनकम होता है। 50 डिसमिल में लगा हुआ है तो वो मतलब 45-50 हजार रुपया का इनकम कमा ले रहे हैं। साथ में जो आम बागान में ही दीदी खेती कर रही है तो वो खेती आम के अलावे खेती से भी उनका 40-45 हजार रुपया का इनकम हो रहा है। इस तरह का भी हम लोग बाजार को बदलते हुए दीदी लोग का आमदनी को बढ़ाए हैं।
शुक्रिया, थैंक यू।
Yeah. So thank you, Charyaben. So Charyaben shared how the FPO adapted to the changing marketing conditions. She says that they face some initial challenges, struggle to find good vendors for their produce, and were limited to the local market, which did not offer them a good price. So to that, they gave a solution that with support, they were able to identify better markets and created a plan with the help of area coordinators, supervisors, and managers. So they got a success in new markets. And she also shared an example that tamarind is widely grown in their area and found a strong market for it in Kerala. So now all their tamarind is sent there. Bokaro city became an important market for the produce, but they were not getting good rates because they were not sorting and grading the produce. After learning how to do this, they started getting better prices. They also learned that the red pumpkin, which they could sell locally, now sells well in Bokaro. So this was the few examples she gave. And also for the income of the farmers, how it impacted. She shared that farmers are seeing significant earnings. Like one farmer who grows 3,000 plants can earn up to 1 lakh and more, and others who are growing lesser, they are earning 70,000 to 75,000, and few are also earning till 40 to 45,000. And she also mentioned that seasonal agriculture crop like mango cultivation is another success for them. Like a farmer who's having a 1 acre of mango trees, they generally earn 1 to 1.5 lakh per person, and those with half acre earns up to 50 to 60,000. Thank you.
Can I just jump in, Bharti Ben, because there was a really interesting example of tomatoes which she mentioned. And she said that usually farmers pluck the tomatoes only when they are ripened on the plant. But we train people and explain to them that if you do that, then by the time the tomatoes reach the, far distant city markets, you won't get a good price because they begin to get spoiled. They get a bit sort of soft. And so, when to pick them so that, you get a good price, then grading and sorting. These were also the things that she said. So Shubhma, I think you should translate, what they are saying. That would be better actually.
Yeah, sure.
थैंक यू सो मच। अब मेरा यही सेम सवाल हंसा बहन से भी होगा। हंसा बहन, अगर आप अपने ये बताएं कि आपने कैसे जो बदलता हुआ समय था उसके साथ आप कैसे आगे बढ़े, उस समय के साथ आपने कैसे अपने आप को अडॉप्ट करा। So my question to Hansa Behen is the same, how did she make changes? How do they remain relevant in the changing context of the markets? So Hansa Behen, आप बताएं।
નમસ્તે.
जी बताएं।
બદલતે સમયની અંદર જોવા જઈએ તો આપણે પહેલો તો દાખલો એ જ છે બેન કે કોરોનાની અંદર સંગીની મળ્યો હતો, જ્યારે હોદ્દેદાર બધા ઉપરના હોદ્દેદાર બધા મળી ને અમને પૂરી પાડી હતી. સેવા છે, અમારા હોદ્દેદાર છે, તો અમે બહેનો છીએ. હોદ્દેદાર ના હોય તો અમે બહેનો પણ ના હોય. જ્યારે અમને ખરી મુસીબત હતી કોરોનાની અંદર, તો પણ અમારા સરકાર પૂરેપૂરો આપ્યો છે. એ સાથ સહકારમાં પૂરેપૂરો આપીને બહેનો સાથે સાથે ચાલીએ છીએ. ખર્ચાળ પ્રવૃત્તિને સંઘીની મંડળી પગભર કરવા માટે આરબીઆઈ જેવા સેન્ટરની આરબીઆઈ ની અંદર જે સેન્ટર ચાલે છે ત્યાં સારી એવી ફી આવે છે. ને એવું પણ અમે હવે વિચારે છે સંઘીની મંડળી કે એવા અમે બીજા પણ સેન્ટર ખોલી ને અમને સંઘીની મંડળીને મદદરૂપ થઈ શકે. આ અમારું બદલાવતો સમય છે. ને ટેકનોલોજી જોવા જઈએ તો બહેનો અત્યારે આગળની જૂની બહેનો છે એ જરા ઓછું ભણેલી છે ને નવી બહેનો છે જરા થોડી વધારે ભણેલી છે. તો બહેનોની સાથે રહીને જોડે રહીને ટેકનોલોજીનો બી ઉપયોગ કરીશું ને સાથે સાથે આગળ જોડીશું અને શિક્ષણ બી લઈ જઈશું. બાળકોમાં પૂર્વ પ્રાથમિક શિક્ષણ પૂરું કરીશું ને જુદી પ્રવૃત્તિઓ અંદર લઈ જઈશું. નાની નાની રમતો લઈ જઈશું ને નાની રમતો જોડે જોડે નવી જે ગેમો આવે છે રમકડામાં એને પણ લઈ જઈશું. ત્યાંથી બાળકોનું માનસિક અને બૌદ્ધિક વિકાસ થાય છે. આ રીતે અમારો આગળનો જે પ્રયાસ છે બદલતા સમયમાં એને આગળ લઈ જઈશું. અંગ્રેજી પણ શીખવવાની બહુ કોશિશ કરીએ. બાળકોમાં જેવી નવી બહેનો આવે છે એમને વધારે ભણેલી હોય તેવો અમને ઓબ્જેક્શન હોતો નથી કે આ બહેનો ભણેલી છે ને આ બધું શીખવાડે છે તો અમે કેમ નહીં. પણ અમારા કરતા વધારે ભણેલી છે એ બહેનો, તો એ બહેનો જરા વધારે ભણાવવાનું બાળકોને પ્રયત્ન કરે તો એમાં પણ અમારો વિકાસ થાય છે. બહેનોનો પણ વિકાસ થાય છે જોડે જોડે. ને સારી એવી પ્રવૃત્તિ પણ અમે આગળ, જેવું કે બાળકોને મનોરંજન ગમે એવું મનોરંજન પણ અમે કરીએ છીએ. તહેવારોની ઉજવણી કરીએ છીએ. એમાં જેવી રીતે દાખલા તરીકે કહીએ કે દિવાળી છે તો દિવાળીની અંદર બાળકોને ગમતું હોય એવું એને એમને શીખવાડીએ. નવા કપડાં પહેરવા, ફટાકડાથી અજાણ રહેવું, સરસ રીતે માતાની જોડે રહેવું. હોળીનું છે બીજો દાખલો, તો હોળીની અંદર બહુ કલરનો ઉપયોગ ના કરવો. તમે પિચકારી રમી શકો પણ કલરથી પણ એમને ઇન્ફેક્શન નું બી મોઢા ઉપર લાગે તો થોડું ઇન્ફેક્શન એમને લાગી શકે. બીજો તહેવાર છે કે જન્માષ્ટમી, એની પણ ઉજવણી કરીએ સેન્ટરમાં કે જ્યાંના નાના બાળકોને છે કૃષ્ણ બનાવીએ, રાધા બનાવીએ. ફેશનેબલ બધા તહેવારોની ઉજવણી અમે કરીએ છીએ. જોડે જોડે અમારું વિદાય સમારંભ પણ થાય છે. જે સ્કૂલોમાં થતી બધી પ્રવૃત્તિ અમારા બાલ સેવા કેન્દ્ર ઘોડિયા ઘરની અંદર નાના બાળકો જોડે અમે જોડે જોડે એ પણ કરીએ છીએ કે સંઘીની મંડળીનું પ્રમાણપત્ર આપીને બાળકોને એટલો ઉત્સાહ કરીએ છીએ કે બાળકોને એમ લાગે કે અમે મોટી સ્કૂલમાં જઈએ છીએ. ને ખૂબ આનંદથી આપણા ત્યાં 0 થી વર્ષથી 5 વર્ષના બાળકો થઈને ઉછળી ને માના જેમ મોટા કરીને એમને આગળ પહેલા ધોરણમાં અમે મોકલીએ છીએ. જ્યારે અમને 5 વર્ષ પૂરા થઈ જાય ત્યારે એ બાળકને છૂટું પાડવું એટલે અમારા માટે પણ ઘણી બધી લાગણી થાય છે. જ્યારે એને નાનીથી અમે એને માના જેમ મોટું કરીએ છીએ. જ્યારે માઈતર તો એને મૂકી ને સિર્ફ કમાવા જાય છે કે 2 પૈસા એને વધારે મળે. જ્યારે આપણું સેન્ટર સવારથી સાંજ સુધી રાધામાં આપણે જ બનીને રહીએ છીએ. જેવા અમારા આવા 13 સેન્ટર રાધાબા મળીને ચલાવે છે બેન. તો અમારી બહેનો માટે અમને બહુ જ ગર્વ છે. અમારી જેટલી બહેનો, જેટલા અમારો ઘોડિયા ઘર ચાલે એ બહેનો માટે અમને ગર્વ છે. અમે ઓછું ભણ્યા છે પણ અમને ગર્વ છે બેન અમારી બહેનો માટે.
धन्यवाद हंसाबेन. मैं चाहूंगी जिगीशा, if you can translate. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Hansaben and Bhartiben. So Hansaben shares very interesting, challenges as well as things to sustain this childcare centers. During Corona, they were facing some troubles, but leaders and SEWA has supported a lot to sustain those centers, and they have come out very well with all this support, and they worked really nice during the Corona time. Apart from that, she's pointing out to the financial sustainability of the center. So some of the centers where people cannot afford the fees, where some of the centers are in prestigious colonies like RBI. So in RBI or this type of prestigious colony center, they give a good fee which can cater to the other centers. Apart from that, to yeah, keep the things going, they provide technology intervents and digital training to the Sangini sisters and teachers who are taking that forward and going to teach that to the children. Apart from that, they do interactive games and action songs and English classes for the kids who are coming to the center. And along with that, they do celebration of the festivals, along with importance. They teach importance of the festival that, okay, if that is Janmashtami, they talk about Krishna and Radha, the history and importance, what to do, what to not do, how to celebrate Diwali, by wearing new clothes and doing firecrackers, but keeping the climate and action in mind. They teach those things as well. And she is sharing one very interesting things that when whatever a normal or private school does, whatever activity they does, the Sangini Center does the same thing. So a child or their parents will feel like a normal, proper school, that they feel that they are going to a big school. And they train kids from 0 to 5 years, and all the Sangini sisters treat them like a mother. So when the kids goes after 5 years into the first class to the normal school out of the Sangini Center, they feel very emotionally connect, and they do this farewell ceremony for kids as well, because they are emotionally attached. So one thing which is coming out from this, that they all are mothers to this kids of the Sangini Center. Thank you.
So much, Jigisha Ben. I will be asking the same question to Swati Ben, who's been supporting the credit cooperative. It's important to understand also how the credit cooperative, given what challenges you already spoke about, how did they adapt, how did they change? Swati Ben, अगर आपने बताया कि क्या-क्या चैलेंजेस आए आपके सामने जब आप क्रेडिट कोऑपरेटिव चला रही थी, और ये चैलेंजेस आते रहते हैं, ये मुश्किलें आती रही, तो आपने कैसे बदलाव किया, आपने कैसे कोऑपरेटिव के काम को आगे बढ़ाया, उसके बारे में हम थोड़ा जानना चाहेंगे स्वाति बहन आपसे।
थैंक यू। पहले हम लोग जैसे हमने बताया कि पहले हम लोग मैनुअल काम ज़्यादा कर रहे थे, तो हमारी जो ऑफिस है वो अलग-अलग डिस्ट्रिक्ट में है, चूँकि 5 जिले में काम हो रहा है तो अलग-अलग डिस्ट्रिक्ट में है। तो मैनुअल काम करने की वजह से हमें लोन कमिटी वगैरह की जब मीटिंग करनी होती थी या टीम मीटिंग वगैरह करनी होती थी, तो हमें एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट से दूसरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जाना होता था। तो इसमें काफ़ी टाइम भी चला जा रहा था और काफ़ी खर्चे भी होते थे, आने-जाने में खर्चे होते थे, मीटिंग के अरेंजमेंट में काफ़ी खर्चे होते थे, एंड जो हमारे लोन वगैरह के प्रोसेस हैं, उसमें भी काफ़ी पहले 15 से 20 दिन का प्रोसेस लग जाता था। जब हम मेंबर को लोन जब वो एप्लीकेशन हम शुरू करते हैं मेंबर्स का भरने के लिए, और जब लोन देते हैं, वो अगर उतने दिन की हम प्रोसेस को अगर देखें तो हम 15 से 20 दिन तक हम उनको सर्विस दे पाते थे। लेकिन ये कोरोना वाला जो टाइम था हमारे लिए, एक पेंडेमिक था, तो हम सभी के लिए काफ़ी मुश्किल वाली घड़ी थी, पर काफ़ी कुछ सीखने के लिए भी हमें मिला था। हम टेक्नोलॉजी की तरफ हम तब जा पाए थे और हम ऑनलाइन हो पाए उस टाइम पे, और हमें सबकी एक मजबूरी भी थी कि हमें सीखना है, पर हमारे लिए एक अपॉर्चुनिटी की तरह भी था। उस टाइम से हम लोगों ने फिर ऑनलाइन मीटिंग वगैरह करने शुरू किए। इससे हमारा जो आने-जाने का खर्चा है वो भी काफ़ी बच गया, और हमारा जो काम का प्रोसेस है अब वो ऑनलाइन करने की वजह से हमें ट्रैवल नहीं करने पड़ते हैं, खर्चे हमारे बच गए हैं तो कोऑपरेटिव के। और हमारा जो काम का प्रोसेस है वो हम 1 हफ्ते के अंदर ही अब हम मेंबर्स को लोन दे पाते हैं। पूरे प्रोसेस में जब हम एप्लीकेशन उनके भरते हैं और उनको लोन कमिटी में आती है, पास होते हैं, वेरिफिकेशन होते हैं, और उनका जब हम उनको लोन देते हैं, वो सारे हम 1 हफ्ते के अंदर कर पाते हैं। तो इससे मेंबर भी काफ़ी खुश होती हैं। उनको लगता है कि हम दूसरे जब माइक्रो फाइनेंस से लेते हैं तो उनके सवाल होते थे कि इतने आसानी से मिल जाते हैं, तो हम भी वो सर्विस को अब वो मीट कर पाएँ, कि हम उनको जल्दी से सुविधा दे पा रहे थे, तो वो काफ़ी खुश भी हुए कि हमने सर्विस को भी बेहतर किया। इसी तरीके से जैसे हमने और भी सर्विसेज़ हैं उसको भी हमने वो किया कि जब मार्केट में हमने देखा कि रिस्क जो है उसको हम कैसे कर सकते हैं, तो हमें जब ट्रेनिंग मिली कि हम लोन रिकवरी को कैसे हम बेहतर कर सकते हैं, हमें क्या रिस्क देखने की ज़रूरत है, लोन प्रोसेस में हमने बेहतर किया कि हम जल्दी से सर्विस दे सकते हैं और क्या रिस्क को हम देखते हुए करें। तो वो रिस्क को हम समझते हुए, क्योंकि हमने जो काम किया था उसके अनुभव से भी हमने वो किया, हमें मेंटरशिप के द्वारा भी हमें समझने को मिला कि हमें कैसे हम बेहतर लोन दे सकते हैं, रिस्क को कहाँ पे हम कम कर सकते हैं। तो इससे हम जैसे पहले हो रहा था कि हम 50,000 का लोन दे पा रहे थे और उसके बाद हमने फिर 2 लाख तक का अब लोन देना शुरू किया है। तो इससे जो हमारे कॉम्पिटिशन है उसको भी हमने वो किया कि जो दूसरी जगह से ले रहे थे वो दूसरी जगह से ना लेकर वो कोऑपरेटिव से ले पाएँ। तो इससे भी काफ़ी वो हुआ कि हमारा कोऑपरेटिव का बिज़नेस करने में काफ़ी वो हुआ, मदद हुआ इससे। कि उनको सर्विस यहाँ से मिल पा रही है जो वो चाह रहे थे अपने बिज़नेस को करने के लिए। हम सेविंग को करवाने के लिए बहुत वो करते हैं कि मेंबर्स का सेविंग होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, ये भी हमारा पर्पस है कि उनको सेविंग की आदत होनी चाहिए मेंबर को, उनके फ्यूचर के लिए जमा होना चाहिए। पहले हमने ये नियम रखा था कि वो 6 महीने तक सेविंग करे, उसके बाद वो 6 महीने के बाद अपनी ज़रूरत को देखते हुए अपने बिज़नेस वगैरह के लिए लोन ले। तो जब हमने देखा कि उनका लोन का डिमांड मार्केट में काफ़ी ज़्यादा बढ़ रहा है और मेंबर को जब ज़रूरत होती है तो उनको 6 महीना का वेट करना पड़ता था। तो हमने जब चूँकि प्रोसेस को भी हमने जब सब कुछ सही किया, हमने रिस्क को भी हमने कम करने का समझ गए। फिर हमने 6 महीने से 3 महीने किया, ताकि हम बहनों का जो बचत की आदत है उसको भी हम वो कर सकें, बचत की आदत भी डलवा सकें एंड साथ में जो उनके लोन के डिमांड्स हैं उसको भी हम पूरा कर सकें। तो ये चीज़ें हैं कि जैसे-जैसे मार्केट में चेंज आते गए हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी को अडॉप्ट करना, इससे हमारे ऑपरेशंस भी काफ़ी स्मूथ हो गए हैं, मॉनिटरिंग आसान हो गए, प्रोसेस आसान हो गए। तो इससे मेंबर को भी काफ़ी आसानी हुई और जो सर्विस हम पहले ज़्यादा समय में दे पा रहे थे, वो कम समय में दे पा रहे हैं और उनकी डिमांड को समझते हुए ही हमने काम किया है। तो इससे हमारा काफ़ी बिज़नेस का ग्रोथ भी हुआ है। तो वो हमने समझा है जैसे-जैसे चेंज आया है कि हमारा बिज़नेस कम नहीं होना चाहिए कोऑपरेटिव में, उसके हिसाब से अपने रिस्क को देखते हुए काम किया है हमेशा।
Thank you so much. Shubhamoy, would you like to do a bit of translation here?
Yeah, sure, sure. So, thank you, Swatiben. As Swatiben shared that they were earlier doing an offline and manual work. And for that, they used to also travel from one district to another to provide loans. And that was very time consuming and it also costed them more. So, and also she shares that previously the process of loan used to take from 15 to 20 days, right from the date of the application member has filed the application and till the loan is disbursed. But during Corona, it was a learning phase for them and they shifted to online. So that was a learning for them. And after shifting to online processes, they can provide loans now within within a week, which makes member happy because they got better services like the other microfinance companies does. So they also did a market study where they used to give 50,000 loan previously, and now they could increase the loan to 2 lakhs, which benefited the cooperative and their members also. And but their purpose was to save first. They thought that members should develop a habit of saving first, and then they should take loan. So they also assess during this, they also assess the financial behavior and then savings for 6 months before giving loans, and they reduced it to 3 months now. And she shares that adopting technology has improved monitoring, reporting systems, and many of the cooperative workers never worked on a computer, but now they have learned this So that was a great opportunity that during Corona they have learned to got onto the technology, and now they are using that for their work, which has helped them. Thank you.
थैंक यू सो मच। आप सभी की तीनों जो आप सभी तीनों ने कहा, पैनलिस्ट ने, आपकी जर्नी देखकर बहुत ही ज्यादा खुशी भी होती है कि जो आपके पास जो भी चैलेंज आया, आपने उसको कैसे एक अपॉर्चुनिटी में बदल दिया और आगे बढ़ते रहे और मार्केट के साथ अडॉप्ट करते रहे। सो आई थिंक द एग्जांपल्स व्हिच आवर पैनलिस्ट हैव शेयर्ड इज they're truly inspiring, you know, whether it was related to the crisis management because of COVID, or you know, turning these challenges into opportunities, looking at how do you develop the value chains, where are the bottlenecks, how do you evolve in the context of changing markets, learning by doing, you know, doing these experimentations and seeing what the customers want. And I think this is kind of very important because cooperatives need, I mean, one area is to organize women workers and empower them, but the other is to how to behave like a business enterprise, and that's why this adaptability and change is kind of critical. And what we really saw that all the three you know, cooperatives tried to do this to stay relevant, to provide for the customer preferences, change their methods, and also maintain their competitive advantage, you know, why they are there and why they are able to actually serve those customers or users of their services. And not just that, it was also inspiring to see how they're looking at growth. They are looking at you know, going a step further, expanding in terms of membership, or for example, in say giving out the loans from 50,000 to 2 lakhs, changing their processes, and also risk management. You know, how do you manage risk? So I think a very wonderful inputs from all the three panelists. And my last question to them would be to look at, you know, what could be, what kind of support would you like in the future from different people who are listening to this webinar, and from institutions, and what kind of support? तो मेरा सवाल आप तीनों पैनलिस्ट से है, ये सवाल कि आपने अपनी जर्नी बताई, आप आगे कैसे बढ़े, आपने क्या क्या किया, जैसे चैलेंजेस को भी आपने पार करा। मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि अब आप आगे बढ़ने के लिए आपको किस तरह का सपोर्ट चाहिए, आगे इस काम को बढ़ाने के लिए क्या-क्या सपोर्ट चाहिए? तो सबसे पहले मैं चाहूंगी कि हमारे साथ चरिया बहन है, वो इसके बारे में बताएं, फिर हम हंसा बहन को भी आगे बोलेंगे। चरिया बहन, अगर आप हमें बताएं कि किस तरह का सपोर्ट आप चाहती हैं आगे में। जी।
तो एपीओ मेरा जो ट्रस्ट बना है, अभी तो 4 साल हुआ है, तो अभी छोटा कार में है, क्योंकि उनके पास अभी उस तरह का पूंजी नहीं है। लेकिन ट्रस्ट का सोच है कि हम व्यवसाय को आगे बड़े पैमाने में करने का, और बड़े पैमाने में करेंगे और उसको मजबूत बना के रखेंगे, ताकि हम लंबा समय तक ट्रस्ट चला पाएंगे, ये सोच रहा। और खुद में स्वावलंबन बनने का सोच रखे हैं। लेकिन वही थोड़ा भी बचपना है, तो थोड़ा चलने के लिए समय लग रहा है। लेकिन हम लोग का सोच है कि इसको धीरे धीरे करके हम लोग बड़े पैमाने में करेंगे ही। लेकिन जैसे हम लोग किसान के साथ में प्लान करते हैं, तो खाद, बीज, दवा, ये सबका ये करते हैं, तो देखा जाए तो अक्सर बहुत ज्यादा रेट। तो एपीओ का सोच है कि अगर थोड़ा सा खाद, बीज, दवा थोड़ा कम सस्ता रेट में अगर मिल पाते, जैसे कि वो रेट भी सरकार के द्वारा ही निर्धारित की जाती है, तो मैं यही आशा करती हूँ कि अगर ये थोड़ा सा रेट कम हो, और जैसे टैक्स भी हो रहा है तो टैक्स रहित हो, ताकि हम किसान को अच्छा से दे पाएंगे और ज्यादा मात्रा में खाद बीज दे पाएंगे। तो इसके लिए मैं थोड़ा सा मदद चाहती हूँ कि ये थोड़ा सा राहत मिले हमारा किसान के लिए, और समय समय पर संस्था को, एपीओ को मतलब तकनीकी प्रशिक्षण और सहायता की जरूरत है, ताकि हम लंबा समय चल पाएंगे। और जैसे हम लोग खेती करते हैं, किसान खेती करता है जहाँ पे, तो खाद, रासायनिक खाद के बावजूद तो अक्सर जमीन की मिट्टी कड़ा होती है, तो जैसे उसका उर्वरकता में दिक्कत होती है, फिर मिट्टी खराब हो जाता है। तो इनका भी तकनीकी सहायता के जरिए अगर समय समय पर मिट्टी का जांच हो, जो कि किसान उस खेत में अच्छा तरीका से फसल उगा पाए, ज्यादा मात्रा में उपज हो, इस तरह का एपीओ का सोच है। और हम लोग जैसे जिला लेवल में एक एपीओ को लेके ट्रेनिंग भी किए थे डीसी सर से, तो उनके साथ में भी ये सारा बात रखे हैं कि हम लोग को कुछ कृषि विभाग के जरिए भी कुछ मदद चाहिए। और जैसे हम लोग 2-3 जगह यूनिट चला रहे हैं, जहाँ सब्जी के लिए पौधा बीज डाल कर पौधा तैयार किया जाता है, तो उस जगह में थोड़ा रोड, आने जाने के लिए रोड नहीं है, तो उतना ज्यादा पौधा निकालने में गाड़ी में लोड करके काफी परेशानी करना पड़ता है। फिर जैसे अगर कोई संस्था थोड़ा सा अगर एपीओ को मदद करके कुछ फंडिंग अगर दिला देते, तो हो सके हम इसको बड़े पैमाने में व्यवसाय और ज्यादा किसान के साथ में व्यवसाय कर पाते। इस तरह का हमारा एपीओ का पूरा प्लान है, और इसी उद्देश्य के साथ में हम एपीओ को आगे लेने का सोच रखे हैं।
जी, धन्यवाद। एक सवाल भी आया हुआ था कि क्या
जी जी
तो जो आप महिलाएं हैं उनको जब आप ट्रेनिंग की बात कर रही थी, तो क्या ट्रेनिंग के अंदर डिजिटल ट्रेनिंग भी है? मोबाइल फोन से क्या उनको जो भी सुविधाएं मिलती हैं वो उनको मिल रही है? क्या वो फोन से कनेक्ट कर सकती हैं? जो भी किसानों को डिजिटली सेवा मिलती है, क्या महिलाएं उसको इस्तेमाल कर रही हैं, या आप उसमें कुछ करती
हाँ,
हैं?
बहुत ऐसे है महिलाएं, जैसे ठीक है दीदी नहीं जानती है महिलाएं, लेकिन उनके बच्चे तो उस तरह का है, पढ़े लिखे, तो मोबाइल तो हर घर में है, तो उनके जरिए भी उन लोग को जानकारी दिया जाता है।
जी, शुक्रिया। हाँ, शुक्रिया।
Thank you, Charyaban. So Charyaban shares that they are just a child now and they want to grow more because the trust is formed since 4 years now and they want to grow their business to a bigger extent. And they face several challenges to which she identifies that because they are working in a rural area, there are no roads. So she's asking for that if we can help somebody can help to build roads for them, or also she wants to grow the business for which she's asking for the members should get technical trainings and to help them access the leverage the schemes. And she's also shared that which is really now a problem, that inorganic compost makes the soil worse, and so there should be a help for support in soil testing. And if farmers had a better understanding of soil types, quality, their produce and yield would be better. uh, they also want that some sort of trainings on the technical training should be given to their farmers to grow more. And the agriculture inputs, she shared that they are very expensive. So if that could be made in affordable prices, it would definitely help the farmers so that they can make available this agriculture inputs for them very easily. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I would now request Hansa Behan to share what she would need, what kind of support she needs. Hansa Behan, अगर आप हमारे साथ ये बता सके कि आपको और किस तरह की मदद चाहिए आपने काम को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए, हम सुनना चाहेंगे किस किस तरह की मदद आपको चाहिए. Hansa Behan.
નમસ્તે. સંગીની મંડળીને પગભર કરવા માટે અમને મદદની તો ઘણી બધી જરૂર છે કે બાળકોનું સુવિધા પ્રમાણેનું પોતાનું પહેલા તો સેન્ટર હોવું જોઈએ. એના માટે પણ અમને અમારું સેન્ટર પોતાનું નથી, એરિયા વાઇઝ તો એ સેન્ટરની પણ અમને જરૂર છે. એના માટે બી અમને મદદ જોઈએ. પ્રવૃત્તિ માટે ફંડની પણ જરૂર છે. નાણાકીય પણ મદદની જરૂર છે. અને નવા શિક્ષણ માટેની પદ્ધતિ માટે અમને તાલીમોની પણ જરૂર છે. જેવા કે અમારા આરબીઆઈ નું સેન્ટર ચાલે છે એવા અમારા પ્રયત્ન છે કે નવા અમે એવા સેન્ટર ઊભા કરી શકીએ કે આરબીઆઈ માં સારી એવી ફી છે, એમાંથી અમને થોડી મદદ મળે છે. પણ અમારા એવા બીજા કોઈ સેન્ટરો ચાલુ થાય તો અમારી સંગીની મંડળીને પૂરેપૂરો સપોર્ટ અને મદદની જરૂરિયાત પૂરી થશે.
Thank you, Hansaben. So Hansaben shares that for the Sangini Childcare Cooperative to get it self-reliance, they are looking for their own center in each area, and which is the challenge because it needs lots of financial support as well as the other challenge from the system. So she is looking for the support in that. And they are looking for funding support in operation as well as looking for the technical support for the sisters to train them in digital literacy and the language and other kind of trainings. They wish to start new centers in elite society like RBI. They have one. They wish to start more of those type of centers which can get more fees and help in the slum area to run the centers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. मैं अब स्वाति बहन से बोलूंगी कि आप हमें बताएं, हमारे सामने रखें कि आपको किस तरह की मदद चाहिए अपने इस कोऑपरेटिव के काम को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए. स्वाति बहन.
थैंक यू भारती बहन. जैसा कि आपने बताया था कि अभी अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लोन की काफ़ी डिमांड रहती है. तो हमारी जैसे महिलाओं की छोटी कोऑपरेटिव की को वर्किंग कैपिटल की कमी हो जाती है. तो कभी-कभी हमें वर्किंग कैपिटल के कारण अपनी डिमांड को पूरा नहीं कर पाते हैं, क्योंकि हमें सेविंग एंड जो लोन है उनके रेशियो को भी मेंटेन करना पड़ता है. और हम लोग चाहते हैं कि हम लोगों को नो इंटरेस्ट एंड इजी टू एक्सेस फाइनेंस की सुविधा मिलनी चाहिए, जिससे हम अपनी कोऑपरेटिव के जो बिजनेस है उसको अच्छे से और ग्रो कर सके. एंड सेकेंडली जो कोऑपरेटिव में यह सुविधा होनी चाहिए कि जैसे पहले हम बाकी जैसे चेक कर पाते हैं उनके क्रेडिट रिपोर्ट मेंबर्स के, तो हम लोगों को भी हमारी कोऑपरेटिव को भी रिस्क को कम करने के लिए जो सिविल और हाई मार्क जैसी क्रेडिट ब्यूरो है उससे सब्सक्रिप्शन मिलनी चाहिए ताकि हम अपनी कोऑपरेटिव के रिस्क को कम कर सकें. दूसरा जैसे हमारे जो सेवा भारत की तरफ से भी बहुत सारे अलग-अलग टेक्निकल ट्रेनिंग वगैरह हमें दिए जा रहे हैं. तो वो ज़रूरत हमें आगे भी पड़ते रहेंगे क्योंकि मार्केट में काफ़ी चेंज आते रहते हैं और उस चेंज के अनुसार से हमें अलग-अलग स्किल की और अलग-अलग मार्केट के हिसाब से ट्रेनिंग वगैरह की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. तो वो हमें आगे मिलनी चाहिए. इससे कोऑपरेटिव में हम और ग्रोथ कर सकते हैं. एंड जैसे अभी हमें सेवा भारत के तरफ से मेंटरशिप की सुविधा मिल रही है और आगे भी इसकी ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. हमारी जो मेंटर हैं वो एक इसी तरह की कोऑपरेटिव है, उसकी सीईओ है, तो वो ऑलरेडी बिजनेस को समझते हैं एंड वो काफ़ी अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं. तो उससे हमें काफ़ी हमारे सिस्टम को जो हमारे सिस्टम नहीं थे, मेंटर के द्वारा उसे ठीक करने में काफ़ी मदद मिला है और मेंटर से हमें हमारी कोऑपरेटिव को काफ़ी बेनिफिट हुआ है. तो ये मेंटरशिप की जो सुविधा है ये भी हमें आगे मिलते रहनी चाहिए जैसे अभी हमें मिल रही है. क्योंकि अलग अलग तरीके से अलग अलग जरूरतें आगे भी हमें आते रहेंगे। तो इस तरीके से मुझे लगता है इन सब चीज़ों की अगर रिक्वायरमेंट हम पूरी करें तो हमारा जो कोऑपरेटिव है और जो चैलेंजेस रहे हैं उसको हम इसी तरह से ओवरकम करते रहेंगे एंड उसे जो हमारे चैलेंजेस है उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी में ला करके हम इसी तरह से और ग्रोथ करते रहेंगे और सस्टेनेबल भी हम रहेंगे। थैंक यू।
शुक्रिया।
Thank you, Swati Ben.
Yeah.
So, Swati Ben shares that they should have an easier access to finance and access to working capital. Their cooperative has to maintain a ratio of saving to loans, and because of lack of funds, they are not able to provide such interest-free loans. So, they should also get subscription to credit bureaus like Highmark and CIBIL to reduce risk. And through SEWA's Women Enterprise Support System, they have got mentorship support, which has shown how they identified their challenges, and that was a very important, and they helped them to grow. So this type of mentoring support is important for them to adapt the market and technologies which keeps on changing, and this type of support should continue to grow and make them sustainable in future as well. Thank you.
थैंक यू सो मच। आप सभी पैनलिस्ट ने अपनी अपनी बात रखी और बहुत आपकी जो कहानी थी उसको आपने जो बोला हमारे साथ बातचीत करी बहुत ही ज्यादा इंस्पायरिंग थी हम सबको। आपने जो बात रखी कि आप महिलाओं के साथ तो काम कर ही रही हैं, एम्पावरमेंट तो कर ही रही हैं, पर उसके साथ साथ आप बहुत कुछ और भी कर रही हैं। एक बिजनेस एंटरप्राइज की तरह सोचना और आगे बढ़ना, मार्केट के हिसाब से चलना, अपनी कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के बारे में बात करना, जो आपको और रिसोर्सेज चाहिए, चाहे वो पैसे हो, चाहे दूसरे तरह के रिसोर्सेज हो, ट्रेनिंग्स हो, उसके बारे में, और जो पॉलिसी इन्वायरमेंट आपको चाहिए अपने सपोर्ट को आगे बढ़ने के लिए, उसके बारे में भी आपने बातचीत करी। तो इन सब से आगे के लिए भी हमें बहुत सीख मिलती है कि आगे किस तरह के जो नए कोऑपरेटिव्स बनाना चाहते हैं उनको किन किन बातों का ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा, और आपकी इस जर्नी से बहुत कुछ सीखने को भी मिलेगा। तो मैं आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ, और मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी मैं इसी बात को मैं इंग्लिश में भी रखूंगी जो हमारे इंग्लिश में समझने वाले पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं उनके लिए। सो ऑल द थ्री पैनलिस्ट एक्चुअली शेयर्ड वेरी इंस्पायरिंग journeys. The journeys were not easy. 25 years to reach where they have reached today. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of collective decision making, a lot of effort to pull together and be relevant, remain relevant in this changing scenario, which is very complex. It's not easy to survive in that, and then pulling it through. And the three panelists also raised issues which I think we should keep in mind when we're talking about cooperatives, especially those which are aimed at empowering women. All these journeys clearly show that how they also had to behave like a business enterprise, even though it was for empowering their own membership, but how they also need to learn, build capacities, behave like a business enterprise which needs to think about risk management, how to develop the value chains, how to convince and network with people, how to make sure that the community support comes to them, the farmer support comes to them, or how they have to interact and understand their competitors, the banks, the microfinance institutions. How do they remain relevant in these contexts? And also the issue of shared ownership and investments by the members themselves, in not just creating a pool of resources, but also to enhance how the cooperative grows. I think it was also important for us to understand that many of these cooperatives looked at how they can clearly define their role and their growth path, and how they look at diversification, customer need, how they look at their investments in not just their products but the membership themselves, their own members, in terms of capacity building training, whether it's financial training, whether it's digital training, or looking at how do they bring the leadership in their own members to drive this cooperatives forward. So it's a very inspiring journey, and I'm truly grateful to listen to them and take some of these learning forward when we work with women cooperatives. So thank you so much. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. आपने अपनी कहानी हमारे साथ रखी, और इतनी आसान नहीं थी ये जर्नी, बट बहुत ही सुन के बहुत अच्छा लगा और बहुत उत्साह मिला हम सभी को. तो आप सभी पैनलिस्ट का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. ओवर टू यू नेहा.
Thank you.
नमस्ते.
Thank you, Sabiko. Thank you, Hansa Ben, Swati Ben, or Chariya Ben, and also Bharti ji for moderating the session. We'll quickly move to the next presentation. मैं invite करती हूँ पलक Ben गड़िया को for you to quickly share some findings of the study that the ILO did with the SEWA Cooperative Federation. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha Ben. Just give me a minute to share my screen with all of you. I hope the presentation is visible. Okay, so namaste everyone. In the panel one, our grassroots leaders have shared how the Federation and cooperatives play an important role in strengthening their activities. To capture the learning and experiences of 32 years, the SEWA Cooperative Federation has developed a report supported and published by the International Labour Organization this year in June 2024. Today, I'm very excited and privileged to share the major highlights of this report. We all may know that in India, major workforce belong to the informal economy with 52% contribution in GDP. And here, the women's contribution is 94%, but with no income and social security. In the year 1972, SEWA was founded by Ilaben Bhatt with the Gandhian values. With 2.9 million women in 18 states of India, we are aiming to provide full employment and self-reliance to the members. We have organized women through joint strategy of struggle and development with union and cooperatives. So SEWA felt a need after incubating 33 cooperatives in 1992 and established SEWA Cooperative Federation to support the cooperatives in their businesses and building capacities for the socio-economic growth of their members. Several innovative cooperatives were developed over several decades, such as care cooperatives, construction cooperatives, and video cooperatives. In the first decades, the focus was on educating workers about cooperatives, their values, structure, ownership, and building essential skills for efficient cooperative management. Moving into the next decade, it shifted towards the business planning and skill development. In the third decade, with the rise of digitization and competition, we expanded support by bringing in business development experts and assisting cooperatives with digital platforms like the government e-marketplace. Also note that during COVID-19, we were able to raise 10 million rupees for the cooperatives to build resilience and support their members, providing health and food kits. The Federation supports women cooperatives and collectives across 6 sectors and has identified 5 priority areas to address in order to strengthen women's cooperatives. We are building evidences on how the climate change is affecting women's cooperatives and their members. Also, through digitizations, we have built the capacity of cooperatives with data aggregations and its usage. In the last 5 years, we have trained 4,195 members to use various digital tools. Here is the impact of 32 years, where we have promoted 112 cooperatives, out of which 65 are active and 88% of them are financially viable. So the question is, how do we do this? And the answer is providing various need-based services and support to the cooperatives. So let's see what kind of services that we are providing. Federation provides technical, skill-based, and governance trainings to the board and its members. Last year, we trained total 2,681 participants with 70 such different trainings. Over the years, the Federation has revived few cooperatives in agriculture and handicraft sector. In the year 2021, the Federation has revived a handicraft cooperative named Abodana with the support of the government's Fruti program. As a result, you can see that this cooperative has a turnover of 14 lakh rupees in the last financial year, and interestingly was able to provide livelihood to the 428 artisans, which is 8 times compared to 2022. We are continuing the legacy of incubating one of its kind cooperatives even now. In the beginning of 2022, we started mobilizing young women to establish a cooperative where they build their capacities in research and communication. Till date, we have mobilized 557 young women. Out of this, 26 girls are enrolled in a year-long paid fellowship program where they will learn about financial and digital trainings along with the soft skills. Business development support is the most important one. The Federation conducts multiple discussions on business planning with the collective enterprises, offering them a way to identify appropriate business channels. We also provide trade-based specific advice to collectives through sectoral experts who work closely with the collective enterprises and offer technical inputs. In the year 2021, we promoted a marketing platform called SEWA Samarth for the women collectives for online and offline market linkages. As a result, in the last financial year, the Lok Swasthya Health Cooperative had a turnover of about 8 crore rupees and 84% increase in turnover compared to 2019. The Mega Agriculture Cooperative had a turnover of almost 40 lakh rupees last year and an increase in 131% surplus as compared to 2022, mainly because of the market linkages and data-driven business development decisions. Last but not the least, action-based research and communication activities support the advocacy actions initiated by the Federation. With the launch of the Ministry of Cooperation in India, the Federation developed and shared policy recommendations with the Committee for promoting and supporting women-owned and women-managed cooperatives within the country. Recently, we have also launched the podcast named In Solidarity that represent the voices of grassroots women and people working with and for such communities. So, over 32 years, this journey was not so easy. We have experienced that organizing the informal sector women from different sectors is a key challenge. Uniting them and building solidarity is a slow and steady process. Informal workers at SEWA have been organized first into their own union. They now have been changed their mindset to one that is also business oriented, along with the keeping social impact in mind. This takes time, patience, and persistence. Women collectives and their members contribute significantly to the Indian economy and society in both paid and unpaid work, and yet their work is not recognized nor acknowledged. They lack visibility, voice, and validity. Financial services, like our panel members mentioned, that working capital are essential to grow and develop women's cooperatives. However, the procedures need to be tailored such that there is an ease of the access. There is a digital divide when it comes to the cooperatives, especially when it comes to the women. Cooperative members need digital literacy and cooperatives need to be digitized. One such example is our insurance cooperative, where members are now enrolled through an app specially developed in 3 languages. External expertise. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes, Palak, then we can hear.
Okay, so yeah, I was explaining that external expertise is helpful to informal women workers, cooperatives to fill in the gaps in their experiences and expertise. Now, over several years, we have learnings to share with you. While providing various services to the women cooperatives, we have some lessons to share. Organizing is the first basic building block where we have focused on building the horizontal solidarity. Cooperatives need access to flexible financing for revival and expansion of the business, followed by the capacity building for governance, compliance, and leadership. We often see that lack of strong business and managerial supervision leads the cooperative to become inactive. Agile method and other inputs can help to strengthen cooperatives. When becoming a part of the cooperative, women begin their journey to transitioning from the informal to the formal economy. They now belong to a formal organization and gradually learn to function in the economy while obtaining decent work and social security. The role of cooperative federation is especially crucial during time of crisis, as seen during the COVID pandemic. While a standalone cooperative may find it difficult to withstand such financial shocks, a body like federation is able to garner the resources required to tide over the crisis. To take the cooperative movement forward, we need to engage with the youth. There is a strong need for the digital inclusion of informal women workers. Women and their cooperatives need access to digital assets, data, digital capacity building, and online marketings. When women's cooperatives and collective enterprises come together under an umbrella organization like the Federation, they get the opportunity to learn from each other. Cross-sectoral learnings and exposure visits strengthen the sisterhood and enhances the business. And last but not the least, multi-sectoral federation helps in advocacy efforts for policies enabling environment. So in the coming years, SEWA Cooperative Federation focuses on scaling up through services in new geographical areas. We have launched grassroots leadership program and want to connect with more and more members for the leadership development. Involvement with the youth at the cooperative and federation level helps to take the cooperative movement forward. Digital solutions offer an exciting avenue for scaling. We are exploring ways to integrate technology in our training, financial services, and market linkages, ensuring broader access and sustainability. Since the climate change affects all of us, it is essential to make the cooperative aware about its impact and possible mitigation strategies. The Federation has begun to generate evidence around the impact on women's cooperatives and to study how cooperatives adapt to climate change. And finally, we aim to deepen our partnerships with governmental, private sector, and non-governmental stakeholders to streamline resources and support, reducing duplication of effort while maximizing the impact. So let's together create a more inclusive and equitable society where every woman has the opportunity to fulfill her potential and contribute towards sustainable development. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Palak Ben. So after hearing the perspective of the collectives and the experiences of the SEWA Cooperative Federation, let's delve into the systems and services required for these collectives and what are the lessons on scaling them. We have our next panel is very diverse. I call upon our moderator, Sanjana Mohanty, who is a program advocacy coordinator at SEWA Bharat, where she supports the Women's Enterprise Support System program. Over to you, Sanjana, then.
Thank you, Neha. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for such an important discussion on collective enterprises and the support they need to strengthen and grow their businesses. Without further ado, I would like to jump right into introducing our esteemed panelists who bring very unique perspectives. Today, we have with us Ms. Smriti Sharan. Smriti ma'am is the Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India, where she oversees the program related to rural livelihoods, especially in institution building, social inclusion, and working for the Lakpati Didi program. She belongs to the Indian Postal Services and is an alumnus of the Delhi University and JNU. Ma'am brings a wealth of experience from her work in the Ministries of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, and the Ministry of Commerce. Following that, we also have Isabel Guerrero. Isabel is an economist and a psychoanalyst and the co-founder of Imago Global Grassroots, an NGO that helps organizations scale up. Since 2014, she has taught the course on scaling up and systems change for developmental impact at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Prior to this, Isabel worked for 30 years at the World Bank, including 5 years as the Vice President for the South Asia region. And our last and final panelist is Dr. Federico Para Hinojosa. Dr. Federico is a social solidarity economy specialist at Viego. He's accompanied the Waste Picker movement in Colombia and Latin America for his academic and professional work. His work and research are in the fields of urban anthropology and public policy analysis on collective action and community environmental management, as well as in social organization, particularly in social solidarity economy entities. He's an urban anthropologist, ethnographer, and also a doctor in political sciences. A big welcome to our esteemed panelists. I do know we're running over in time, so just to be mindful of time, I'm going to jump right into the conversation. Starting off with you, Isabel. In the previous panel, we heard about the need for patient support and patient capital from the members of the collective enterprises who were speakers. And I was wondering if you could talk about what enterprises, like the ones we have heard in panel 1, need for stabilization and for financial viability. Could you also maybe share with us some examples from your experience while working with SEWA's Women's Enterprise Support System in the last few years as well? Over to you.
Great, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. As I was listening to the previous panel, I was thinking, it's not only very difficult for women to be successful in an enterprise, but even more for the women who are working really at the grassroots, the perception of risks of the community, the value chain that is missing. We heard how important it was to get even roads. So a woman cannot face this on their own, and that's where SEWA comes in and cooperatives come in. It's the strength of working together. And the enterprise support system that both we have been working, we're very lucky to have been working for the last 4 years with both SEWA Bharat and the Federation, is a support system that acknowledges that and looks to help the enterprises grow and reach many new members. And so we have just completed an evaluation about that. And what Palak Ben describes is very much the content of what we were evaluating. And the learnings are several. First of all, the importance of balancing social and business goals. Business goals are important, but if you only focus on the profits and not focus on the fact that the women feel they owned and they are the drivers of these enterprises, then you haven't really advanced much. The second is how important it is to meet the enterprises where they are, to build the trust with the enterprises, that they know that you're not coming with a preconceived packages, but you're actually understanding what are the issues and how the enterprise support system can tailor-make the support to actually address that. The third is the core capabilities that have been developed in the enterprise support system, a whole range of services that we heard about from Palak Ben, from legal and financial compliance to business development to working capital support, human resources and governance. And as Palak Ben said at the end, it does require time, patience, and persistence. And that's why it is so important that SEWA holds this, because SEWA is an organization that has been around for many decades and precisely with that time, patience, and persistence. The other lessons that we saw is that you do need sectoral expertise depending on what enterprise you're supporting, and that is achieved through a series of mentors who have deep expertise in that industry and that come and work intensely with the management team of the enterprise. And that, I think, has been a very important complement to the set of services that the enterprise support system provides. Also, very important, this enterprise support system cannot be fully self-financed. It can only be partially self-financed. This requires grants, and we look all over the world, examples of accelerators. There's not one accelerator that is actually self-sustained. So acknowledging that was part of the important lessons that we saw. And the fact that to reach financial sustainability for an enterprise, for a social enterprise, you really need quite a bit of time and resources to help in the investment part before they become sustainable. So we think that the enterprise support system is the type of institution that can help enterprises grow. It's an innovation that is actually ready for going bigger, to scale, and we are very, very privileged to have been part of that voyage. Over to you, Sanjana.
Thank you, Isabel. That truly does reflect even what our speakers of the first panel shared in terms of their own aspirations, as well as what you see in terms of their needs for their businesses. But very important point on the sustainability of support systems that come in to strengthen such businesses as well. I'd like to go to Smriti ma'am right now. Ma'am, could you tell us about the strategies that the DAY NRLM is adopting to promote more such collective enterprises, and what challenges have emerged in this journey of the NRLM? Ma'am, you're on mute in case you're speaking. We can't hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
So
Should I?
good evening, everybody. It's an honor to be here listening to such erudite scholars and professors and those who've done research. We just come with experience from the field, but here is what I have to say, that the National Rural Livelihood Mission was conceptualized on the belief that the poor may not have the resources, but they definitely do have the ability. You give them a bit of support and they're willing to come out of it. And based on this premise, we have now almost mobilized 100 million women into 9 million self-help groups. I don't have specific data to tell you, but whichever forum I go to, they say this is probably the largest social mobilization program that they've ever heard of. So I believe that we are perhaps the largest in the world right now. And not just that, creating self-help groups is like giving them a sense of agency and giving them a voice in their collective groups. But more than that, what we've done is we provided 47,000 crores of funds, which are funds in perpetuity, through which the women learn how to save, how to lend, how to take care of it, and understand financial prudence in the best and a hands-on way. Once they graduate from that, we've also been able to connect them to bank credit, which is almost 9.7 lakh crore in terms of bank credit. Our self-help group system is a 3-tier structure where we have SHGs, over which there is a VO and then a CLF. We also firmly believe that the cluster level federations is really the future, because we want these CLFs to be self-sustaining, to be independent units that think like a business entity. And these are registered entities which are audited, and they have their own bylaws. So they know what money is in their hand and what is it that they're meant to be doing. And being in government, we always understand that every program has a sunset clause. So we are not sure when that clause would be, but we are training them from now itself that one day when there is not much support available, they're still the very, very vibrant and robust structures. So in terms of institution building, we've built an institution right from the grassroots level, which has stood the test of time. 11 years and running, and we're only growing in numbers. And proof of the pudding lies in its eating. Our best brand ambassador for this program is the Honorable PM of India, for whom it's the topic. It's like when he's asking, even taking feedback through various channels, he always wants to know how many Didis have become entrepreneurs, how many of them are lakpatis, how much loan have they taken, what are the subsequent doses of loan they've taken. So we are on the right trajectory. Another thing that we've reinforced very carefully is capacity building. And like inspiration doesn't last long, likewise capacity building. In such a fast changing world, we know that capacities have to be upgraded for everyone and also for us. So we take it down, we train them, we have trainers who have been trained, who keep training them. We have community resource persons who go down to the village and tell women farmers about what seeds to use or what pesticides to use. And we have Pashu Sakhis that tell them about clean milk collecting technologies or how to buy the best breed of animals, etc. Even the banking correspondents, which teach women bank linkage and how to carry forward their banking in a very healthy and a safe way. So we have trainers across all the spectrum. And the community level federations house in-house expertise where they can keep training the formations which are down below. In addition to that, we have structural support for producer collectives. And what we do is we give them access to finance And like we have a grading system in the CLFs, we have A grade, B grade, and C grade. And this grading is done based on their frequency of meetings, how healthy are the bank statements, are they doing all the requirement for community building, etc., whether they're doing their meetings regularly, what is the turnaround time for granting a loan, etc. So likewise, we have graded the producer collectives, and based on that grading, the finance is provided to them. In addition to that, we have an application called the Locus, which is like a large digital public infrastructure, if I could say so, which gives the health of these producer collectives. It shows what is the rate of repayment, if there are any defaults, etc. And this also comes in very handy when we are providing access to them. We've also been strengthening value chain. So our effort is to strengthen farmer producer collectives, the dairy collectives, or even handicraft collectives, or any sector whatsoever. And we try to get them backward and forward linkages through our various partners and technical support assistance, so that we can keep strengthening them and give them an access to markets. And like I said, one of the biggest thing is storage, warehousing, marketing access. So we have a very specific focus on that. So these are the things that we've done to strengthen the self-help group system. And I was particularly focusing on the non-farm sector, where I think we are more interested in hearing about. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It really is one of the largest programs in terms of enterprise development, starting all the way from mobilization, going to capacity building, building structures and teams, as well as reporting and tracking mechanism to see the success and the growth of such business through rural livelihoods. Now, moving from India to a slightly more global perspective, I would like to go to Federico. Globally, we've increasingly heard more about the social solidarity economy. Could you elaborate a little on this, and also tell us how organizations or collectives that are based on the social and solidarity principles address poverty, structural barriers that are faced by workers in the informal economy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Namaste. First of all, thank you for allowing us to participate in this space. Maybe I will say things that are well known for everybody, but allow me to mention it. First of all, to mention that social solidarity economy refers to many different kinds of productive organizations, and they share some principles that you know, like voluntary membership, democratic governance, autonomy, cooperation, and mutual assistance. But there is one that is the more important one, that is, appears, yeah, okay. And that is the primacy of people welfare and social purpose over capital. And all we know also that social solidarity economy was born as a response to the exclusion and the rural working condition of the English Industrial Revolution almost 200 years ago. It means that for many people in the world, social solidarity economy, it's a way in which they can acquire goods, services, and produce in solidarity and achieve together what seems is impossible. There are many people who affirm that social solidarity economy is in the principles of pre-colonial forms of economy, native economies all around the world, in which case we can say that collaboration has been unnatural for our societies. In this order of ideas, people at the margins of the capitalism economic system or being exploited by that in each country have organized themselves, so their lives, their subsistence, and in many times, not always, has used social solidarity economy and redistribution as a way to organize themselves. These organizations sometimes are de facto, like family ties, territory, social class, economy activity. That is what here in Latin America we call popular economy. But sometimes use the standardized forms of social solidarity economy like associations, mutuals, and cooperatives. And this has been the case promoted by SEWA. All this to say that social solidarity economy has been always present in our societies and has been always an answer, a response of the most vulnerable people to exclusion and marginalization. Then appears this question. So why is there so much talk about social solidarity economy today? First, because it has been recognized worldwide that the social solidarity economy, or SSE, has been a parallel and sometimes complementary response to capitalism. I want to paraphrase some that appears in the documentation of SEWA experience that says that organization in cooperatives allow or has allowed collective bargaining power, improve income visibility, identity as workers, and access to social protection. Secondly, because this is precisely what is needed in the world today. Global bodies as the ILO or United Nations, among others, have constated that today workers in formal employment represent the 61% of the labor force in the world. It means 2 billion people that are characterized by absence of formal contracts, absence of access to social protection floors, very low wage, absence of legal labor protection, barriers to access to credit, and this informal employment hits women overall the sectors. So these entities, thanks to experience such as SEWA, recognize that SSE plays a key role facing informality. And this recognized through two major pronouncements. There is a ILO resolution in 2022, United Nations resolution in 2023, that social solidarity economy is a sort of bridge to transit to that. It can be interpreted, taking into account the name of this panel, that federative structure like SEWA are guided by principles of social solidarity economy, are like a sort of platforms or ecosystem who can create some balance, also like the market scenario is, to develop or allow the development of some cooperatives. I'm running on time, so I will be quite brief in the second question, saying that WIGO has the chance to accompany a lot of organizations and myself for more than 20 years in the cooperatives in the waste picker sectors. There are no formulas, and many of the other panelists have stated key lessons. I just want to highlight some of the issues that we found structural. The first one is recognize what pre-exists. We call it recognize the system of solidarity practices within the popular economy, organization of facto or formal ones, the way in which workers organize themselves, and start by then know so well the activities, the value chain, and the supply chains in which they are involved, and see what solidarity action will help to improve working conditions, reduce costs, increase the values of costs of services. Second, we learn from SEWA Academy experience that people need to believe in social solidarity economy principles. Can be part of this if they don't believe it. And it means that it's necessary the training on principles and values linked to entrepreneurial communication, deliberation skills, and that's something that we need to emphasize on that sense. That is easy to say in a panel, but it's quite important. And the last one is that we understand that the worker, the examples speak for 1,000 words, and the exchange is quite important. When an organization can state the burdens, but also the benefits to organize themselves in form of social solidarity economy, can take a conscious decisions and make the structural change. I will leave that part of the intervention here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Federico. I think those are very well put, and it's very important to understand that the success of collective enterprises, whether it be in India or globally anywhere else, is kind of built on some of the principles you spoke about. It's on the principles of cooperation, on solidarity. It's about organizing labor, believing in the need to come together to collectively bargain for mutual benefit and for fairer wages, as well as access to better social protection. And that's very important. In fact, almost in SEWA's experience has been foundational to realizing that no business can be built successfully if these foundation principles are not met and truly believed in, absorbed by the members and shareholders and the board of directors of any collective enterprise. But moving on from what these enterprises need let it be business support to even their own personal values as well as aspirations of working together. I'd like to move a little towards a discussion on scaling up, scaling up, strengthening of these enterprises as well as pathways for the same. And Isabel, I'm going to come back to you. And my question to you is a little bit on when you focus on your work is focused on achieving impact at scale. Can you tell us about the journey of growth that enterprises of such nature see, as well as the pathways they have of scaling up, or how can they scale up via the government or other ways? If you could shed some
Wonderful.
light on that.
Thank you. Thank you. And this is very connected to what Smriti Sharan said, because, you know, one of the amazing successes in the world is SRLM and NRLM is something that many other countries will be learning, and India will have been, I think, the pioneer on this. Just listening to how the value chains are connected, the training that is given, the grading of the CLFs being constructed as a very important platform. All that is very connected to what is happening in SEWA and what is happening with the support system, with the enterprise support system. So our best experience, I think, on scaling is that it takes time. It's a transformation. It's not the same as growth. Scale happens when your revenues grow faster than your costs. That's when you are able to have enough profit so that you can reinvest it in strengthening the enterprises. The biggest example of scale of social enterprises in the world is in BRAC. With their social enterprises, BRAC is able to finance all their education, health programs through the profits of social enterprises. 50% are reinvested in the social enterprises for growth. 50% are used to finance the services of education and health. So that's the sort of gold standard of scaling, and it's an art, and they know how to test, how to prototype, how to fail quickly, how to shift, how to then standardize, and after they standardize, then they scale. And a lot of this experimentation in the case of India was done by SEWA, was done by Pradhan, was done by organizations of civil society who took like 30 or 40 years to experiment. And then comes SRLM, first at the state level, in Andhra Pradesh and Kerala with a different model, and then comes NRLM. I had the privilege of being the vice president for the South Asia when SRLM became NRLM. And I do agree with what Smriti was saying. This is something that will remain. This is something that will stay. There is an institution that has been built in the CLFs. And we need to be patient, persistent, just like we were talking about patient and persistence with the enterprises. So scale is not for the faint of heart. It's a transformation, and it needs a lot of resources. And I think when we talk about scale at the global level, the NRLM is the example. We just quickly, there's an example from SEWA, Rudy, which is a rural enterprise of women who are buying from the farmer, then have processing centers where they pack in small packs, pulses, spices, and then the women get trained and go to their village and sell the Rudy Benz, sell at their village. This model was very successful within SEWA, and now we are working with SRLM in MP, UP, and Jharkhand, where we are helping with having demonstration centers of these processing centers, 5 of them in each state, and then we have MOUs with SRLM. They're taking it to 100 such centers all over the states, and now we have a request from Bihar. So IMAG is helping with that intermediation between what SEWA had already innovated, had a proof of concept, to what does it take to take it to the CLFs, to NRLM, and then have a successful replication to the millions of women that are in RLM. So I hope that answers your question, Sanjana.
No, definitely does. I think Isabel speaks to some very important points, is that not only do enterprises need patient support and capital, but the process of scaling or taking enterprise development, even via the government or through any other entity, to rural communities or urban communities is one of a very slow but very persistent journey, one that takes energy. Thank you so much. That's a very important reminder, Isabel. I'd like to bring my next question to Smriti, ma'am. We know that NRLM functions at scale. It's about reaching, as you said, 100 million women. We have so many SHGs, and then you have a very large segment of CLFs that you're hoping will, some already have, and some which will eventually develop into collective enterprises. Could you share with us some key lessons you have on promoting enterprises of that accord at scale, or pushing for the need for the promotion of such enterprises at that level of scale? Yeah.
Okay, so this doesn't come easy, Sanjana Ben, because we do face a lot of challenges here. So what can I quickly talk about a few challenges before I could
Absolutely, ma'am. Please,
Yeah.
please, Valerie.
So this is where I'd like to speak from the heart, because when we travel to the field, we see it on a daily basis. So first of all, the need, and like Dr. Isabel said, the need to standardize quality, packaging, shelf life, marketing, the linkage. Our women produce so much and such great quality. However, we don't have enough TSAs and partners that can walk that last mile for our SHG women. So I think that's like a very big challenge, especially when we are talking of higher order enterprise, when we are talking of higher doses of finance to them. We do that, and then what? Just 4 small fairs don't work. So I totally agree with Dr. Isabel when she said that she's helping a couple of states, SRLMs, in doing that and getting the missing links integrated. So that's one. But in addition to that, I think our human resources challenges are equally big, because when you have such a large organization, to keep people oriented, to keep them in the system after having invested so much in training is like a big challenge. And you've got to be nimble-footed in your thinking if you really want to retain them. You've got to always give them the challenge in the mind that, yes, they've got to do something new, or probably, take care of their other needs also. In addition to that, capacity building. We've done the basic stuff. We've done basket making, we've done textiles, we've done, food industry, we've done everything. If we're adding more value for national as well as international markets, we need incubators, we need path-breaking technology, we need institutions like IIM and IITs and NIFT that can tell our women what sells, what can add value. So there is a need for continuous capacity building of that higher order now. Something that, it's the next stage beyond the community resource persons and trainers, etc. And like the speaker who introduced, who said that we've got to reduce the duplication of effort. That is so true. And like in the areas that you work, we also keep continuously striving to reduce the efforts which are getting duplicated. So forging convergence with agriculture, fisheries, PMFME, which is like the food processing part of it, Mudra loans, RCTs, all of this is like a challenge which we keep overcoming. And in a whole of government and a whole of society approach that we work, we keep partnering with other ministries to bridge the gap. So we have working with textile for clusters, we work with tourism for homestays, we work with ONDC for a digital platform, and so on. But these challenges continue. But within these challenges is also a strength, because each time we overcome one of this, it's a win for the NRLM structure. I don't know whether I've been able to answer your question, but to me, these are the big things that we face on a daily basis.
No, thank you so much. I think the most important thread that I picked up from what you said was the need for partnerships. Let it be technical support, it could be partnership with other government agencies, with private sector, educational institutes, business support systems, and most importantly, partnerships that will enable I think the retention of human resources, which is a growing and constant challenge when it comes to the success of collective enterprises as well. But yes, ma'am, that's, I think, definitely speaks very strongly to what all of us in the government and outside the government need to do while scaling these enterprises, also while scaling our initiatives of supporting such enterprises.
And
thank you.
I'd just like to add one thing, I'm sorry. Sanjana, for a task so big of making every woman a partner in the economy and in the world economy, and giving them the agency, a financial agency, is a task so big that no one organization or no one government can do it alone. So, which is why, as you summed up, the role of the partners is so big.
Very well put, ma'am. Absolutely. Could not have maybe said something more relevant to this conversation. We all have a huge journey ahead of us and task on us and responsibility to take forward. Quickly coming to Federico, what I want to learn from you, Federico, is how have large networks of informal economy workers that transcend national borders emerged, and how could you also shed some light on how they've impacted the livelihoods as well as the interests of these workers while organizing themselves?
Well, first of all, and respectfully, I have to say that SEWA has been the inspiration and promoter of this process of organization of workers in informal employment in at least 4 major sectors at global level. And I'm referring to street vendors, waste pickers, domestic workers, and home-based workers. Now, it exists StreetNet International, which is a network of vendors, of traders in public spaces and markets. Founded in 2002, they have more than 50 organizations in 45 countries and 1 million of workers. The International Federation of Domestic Workers, 93 organizations in 63 countries. It was founded in 2006, formalized in 2013, and represent more than 670,000 workers. HomeNet International, which was formalized in 2021, 53 organizations and represent more than 600,000. And finally, the International Alliance of Waste Pickers that was founded this year and represent more than 460,000 waste pickers worldwide. They are not like SEWA, but they follow a principle, a founding principle that it's quite important in that sense and was at the very beginning. If the capitalist system is globalized and with it forms of exclusion and informality, the organization and solidarity among workers must be also globalized. And we can see a timeline in which we can constate how the merge of these large networks with the support of WIGO and SEWA have a coincidence in the issuance of pronouncement and global policy guidelines related to the interests and right of workers in formal employment in the international realm. All the above to point out that one of the main functions of these global networks has been to represent the interests and rights of these workers in informal employment in decision-making spaces, but overall in the International Labor Conference. And I would just like to mention some of these issues that has to do with your question. For example, the Convention 177 and the Recommendation 182 on home-based work, all the debate on decent work in 2002, the recommendation of status employment, the 198, the Convention 189 and the recommendation on domestic workers, the recommendation on social protection floors, all the debate on green jobs in 2013. What is so important for us is the recommendation R204 related to transition to formality, the debate on decent work, the Convention 190 of violence in the workplace, the resolution of social solidarity economy in 2022 and the debate on just transition the last year. Representing the interests and right of each one of these four sectors of workers has involved first a deep knowledge and a privileged look of the situation of the workers in different regions of the world. Second, a recognition of organizations and collective of each of these sectors, which have their own voice and a contextualized analysis of their situation and what is desirable for them. And third, a capacity to put these organizational processes in touch with each other in the same region or even internationally. And this implies the construction of what we call platform of meaning that allow me to be representative in terms of context in these decision-making scenarios. For the constitutional network has allowed to flow resources, exchange of experience, as I mentioned previously, knowledge, solidarity, and the capacity of convergence at global level. But this has not been easy, given the fact that there are, well, so much different cultural and linguistic difference and ways on which people understand the world. The result of these network processes has been that these actors were able to influence this global policy instrument. They can introduce in this scenario, which is an arena of meaning, their interests and the perspective, and sometimes their demands. I want just to remember that in these scenarios, there are other visions. For example, the employer's vision, technocracy visions, traditional trade union perspective, and in many cases, other actors are also participating. But the main goal is that with this instrument, many of the social movement, many of them like federations, are able to bring these tools to their own national collective bargaining. We recently see how domestic workers are strongly influencing the world discourse on care economy, how StreetNet is having a tough debate about public space as a workplace and how many, in many different scenarios, where speakers are influencing the plastic treaty, the extended responsibility of the producer policy, giving a new perspective of what means just transition and circular economy debate from a bottom-up perspective. I will leave my intervention there. Thank you.
That was the lot you covered, Federico, but absolutely, I think it is very important in empowering workers from the informal economy, not just in terms of skilling, livelihood opportunities, but also protecting them as workers and as owners of their work and helping them have dignity in their life. There's so many different ways you're talking about. I think what you spoke about speaks to the need for stronger advocacy, not just at a global level, but also the responsibility for state governments and sovereigns to take over that responsibility for the workers within themselves and housed in networks, whether global or national. And just quickly to speak to that, I think there's a great chance for peer learning, both cross-learning to happen between state governments, but also within these networks that are connected and are membership-based organizations of these workers, to kind of create pathways of understanding how value chains can be enabled or how technology can be brought in to strengthen their journeys across different thematic areas. But thank you so much for that, Federico. I'm a little mindful of time. We have gone over, but I would like to kind of leave one last question to the panel, and maybe we can just go around the room if all of you can reflect for 2 minutes on it. Collective enterprises are built on the ownership of the women or the workers that are joined with them. They are essentially owners, shareholders, and beneficiaries of these enterprises. They are not just workers that are paid per piece or supposed to be one small keg in a much longer journey, which they are. That's the whole point of a value chain, but also to take true ownership and to be something else, to be visualized, to be visual in an economy which sees them or which does not see them. They're right at the bottom of the pyramid. I'd like for the panelists to reflect a little on everything they've heard from panel 1 to everything we discussed, but also maybe think about how the ecosystem can come up in supporting these collective enterprises. It's a movement that needs to be strengthened, like we spoke about, partnerships across the board. But market linkages and finance are two very big challenges, and digital inclusion is also another. So technological advancement usually leaves women workers or workers in the informal economy out and turns a lot of their work obsolete in time. So what can we do as players to push other players in this space to kind of take this journey with us and embolden our steps as well. And I think we'll start with Smriti ma'am first and go around the room. Yeah.
Okay. If I understood your question correctly, you say how can the ecosystem be strengthened? I think I will say the role of technical support agencies is so crucial. And the more partners and the more people we have in working this with us, the better it would be and the quicker we'll achieve the results. Of course, I'm mindful that there is no magic wand. Like Dr. Isabel said, there's a lot of patience needed. But, you know, we do have some very good support agencies like NDDB, FDRVC, GT, TRIF. We've just joined hands with BRAC. And all of them bring a veil of knowledge, a world of knowledge to us. So they have to really come and break the mold of our thinking and bring in new, fresh energy and new ideas. Another thing that I think that the ecosystem really should be mindful of is timely financial support. As Swati Ben from Bihar said, that it's very difficult for her to keep that balance, you know, which is required for it to be a cooperative bank, and they fall short of that cash, that liquidity. It's that which bothers us, because while banks are okay in giving low risk loans, but when it comes to big loans, which may have higher risk, they are extremely reluctant when it comes to lending to women. And we are leaving no stone unturned to break this mindset. And we are in conversation with RBI, with NABARD, with the fintech partners, and with everybody to how to break that. And I'll give you a small example of, we have something called banking correspondent. They are the ones who take that Aadhaar-enabled payment device to the doorstep for doorstep banking. And in a country as big as ours, I just have 130,000. And no matter, and I have many more trained. I have a 70,000 extra, which are already trained and ready to be deployed. But banks do not deploy them, for whatever be the reasons. So, you know, we've been breaking a lot of the unspoken about glass ceiling here, and having more women walk this journey of financial inclusion. So that's another part of the ecosystem that needs to be strengthened. And like I said, capacity building is an ongoing process. So we need dedicated HR, and we need to keep upskilling our community resource persons, because they're really the boots on the ground. They know which group requires what funds, what training, what linkages, etc. And partnership for market linkages. Like I said a little while ago, if I want to sell on all the big platforms, and if I want to make an inventory which I'm sure of selling, I have to take the game to the next level. And that is what I'm looking for we are looking for in the ecosystem. Partners who can improve the quality of our products, that have a steady demand, and we can have a steady inventory to sell in the market.
Thank you, ma'am. Federico, would you like to go next?
Yes, sure. I want to introduce that there is a global debate that will take place next year in the International Labour Conference, and has to do with your question. There is a hegemonic narrative who says that informality is the result of lack of productivity, that if you increase productivity, immediately the productive unit of vulnerable people can compete in the market, and the market is the only ecosystem. And this hegemonic narrative is forgetting all what's been said in this, and we can constate in this panel, and what we can constate in SEWA Federation experience. Social solidarity economy cooperatives are more than productive increase. And that's quite important in terms of the solutions where the governments buy the idea that you can access to credit, you can access to skills to compete in the market, and then big fish eat small fish. And what we saw here is that SEWA ecosystem is a platform who play in the market and has productivity as one of the lines, but also create other balance that are quite important to take in account. And in our case, I didn't share this in the panel. In our case, at least Colombian, Argentinian, and Brazilian one, the state plays a role. And the state plays a role putting or creating some preferent policies and preferent conditions for cooperatives, for workers in informal employment who cooperativize. And it's not only about reduce yourself and go ahead and see what you can do. Our experiences show us that these policies ends when the government change and the organizations remain with a debt, a big debt, not necessarily a big learning or process growing in the value chain. I will leave my intervention there.
Thank you, Federico. Isabel, I think you're next.
Yeah.
What
I think in terms of what's the next stage, thinking about what's the next stage beyond the CLF, I think there's a very rich ecosystem which has been has grown in India over the last over a decade. We see it when we are recruiting people to go to the last mile to work with the CLF. There's a very rich ecosystem already of different partners that have been working in that space. What I think is the next challenge or the next stage is precisely to have not incubators, but more accelerators like the enterprise support system that SEWA has. How can that be taken to SRLM so that it helps with market linkages, but also it meets the CLF enterprises where they are and helps them go to the next level. So that's what I think is a challenge.
Thank you, Isabel. Thank you so much to our panelists. Actually, these are great insights. It was a very informative discussion. To summarize, we did say the need for patient capital, patient support across multiple thematic areas. Partnerships are essential. But what I took away was also that even in terms of strengthening the system, which is still the ecosystem that's still building around these enterprises, we do need to find the right champions in the financial space, the right partners for our market space, because not everything can be done by workers in the informal economy. This is going to be a joint effort and we'll need different kinds of input. But that said, I'd like to conclude this panel by saying that it's only in togetherness and in partnership can we continue to empower the women we work for, continue to connect them to larger markets, upskill them to be able to service the needs of larger markets, and so that they earn more and do better in life. But thank you so much. And with that, Nehaben, do we have a Q&A session or are we at a close?
I think we're out of time. We're really running out of time, so we'll close. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
All right. Yeah. Thank you everyone for being here. This was a really, really insightful discussion. I'd first like to thank Charya Ben, Hansa Ben, Swati Ben for, taking the time to be here. They all had to stay back. They come from remote areas. They had to stay back in the offices, make special provisions to be here at this panel. And because they've been sharing their journeys and their insights, even through the evaluation, we're able to actually generate evidence because of their time and because of their experiences. And we wouldn't be here without them. So thank you first to them. Thank you to Bharti Birla ji for moderating the first panel. I'd also like to thank all of you, Isabel, Federico. It's really early in the morning for you. Smriti ma'am, it's post office hours for you. So thank you for taking the time to be here, sharing insights, and many thanks to the ILO team for helping us put together this report. Thank you to the participants who stayed and attended this webinar till the end. And we hope we've left you all with some ideas on designing more holistic support systems for women's collective enterprises to thrive. And we look forward to more partnerships, more collaboration towards this goal. Just a note to everyone, we will be sharing the slides, the ILO report, and also recording in a policy note that comes out of this discussion. And thank you once again. Take care. Good night. Namaste. Bye-bye.